Yuanwan, you're outrageous. At that moment, Feng Xiumin's sharp voice resounded. It's Grandpa's birthday, yet you actually dared to give him such a terrible and disgusting thing. What intentions do you have? You're seriously deranged. Liang Shihan saw the gift from Yi Wanwan and stood up instantly. She pointed towards Yi Wanwan and snapped at her. The group of elderly people seated at the main table, even Li Yu and Zhou Qinggang, frowned and looked at Yi Wanwan in disbelief. Tonight was her grandfather's birthday banquet, so why did Yi Wanwan give him such an inauspicious thing? Even on normal days, one should never give something like that to an elder, much less on their birthday. How was this meant for celebrating someone's birthday? It was obviously meant to rush someone to his death. Sensing Yi Hongwei's icy cold stare, Yi Wanwan furrowed her brows and her heart sunk. Grandpa, this wasn't the gift I prepared for you. Yi Wanwan, housekeeper Huang already said this was gifted by you. You dared to give but dare not admit. I really didn't expect you to be so vicious. After all, the Yi blood flows in you, so how could you do something so atrocious? You're worse than a beast. What intentions do you have? Feng Xiumin didn't give Yi Wanwan a chance to explain at all, and eagerly threw stones while she was down. At the main table, almost everyone's eyes were on Yi Wanwan except for an old pedant who was around 80 years old. His eyes were on the bone and he looked unconvinced. After all the guests had seen the bone, they all had strange looks in their eyes. Yi Wanwan's gift was truly an eye-opener. Liang Shihan and Feng Xiumin's accusations and scolding were automatically disregarded by Yi Wanwan. There was a slight calmness on her delicate face. She hadn't expected that she'd be entrapped by housekeeper Huang Mingkuan. Yi Wanwan kept her emotions in check and secretly plotted her next move. Yi Hongwei was akin to a glacier that wouldn't melt in thousands of years. The cold light in his eyes was terrifying, causing anyone to tremble in fear. At the main table, all the important guests turned to look at each other, confused. On the other side, Yi Xiaoting and Liang Wanjun were just as silent. Due to their relationship with Yi Wanwan, they were unable to help. Bring a magnifying glass. Suddenly, the old pedant narrowed his eyes and broke the silence. Although nobody knew what the elderly man needed it for, someone still brought a magnifying glass over to him. After he took the magnifying glass, the elderly sized up the bone eagerly. Nobody at the scene understood what he was doing. This? He peered through the magnifying glass and from time to time, he exclaimed in surprise and disbelief. Yi Hongwei and the group of elderly people at the main table were all puzzled. After some time, the pedant stood up and held up the bone ornament right in front of his eyes. Masterpiece. He mumbled something softly and the light in his eyes glistened brightly. Old Yi, can I speak to you about something? He looked at Yi Hongwei and made this sudden request. Hearing that, Yi Hongwei didn't understand. Why don't you give me this thing? He stopped speaking at that point and shook his head. No. Why don't I exchange my Rise of the Dragon with you for this? Once he said that the entire hall fell silent. However, after a short period of silence, there were gasps of surprise. Rise of the Dragon. Could it be one of the collector items from the great carving master, Ouyangyu? Indeed, that old pedant is indeed Ouyangyu himself. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Rise of the Dragon is Master Ouyang's proudest masterpiece in the last 2 years. All the guests were stunned. What exactly was Yi Wanwan's gift that even Ouyangyu would exchange his Rise of the Dragon for it? Even Yi Hongwei himself had a weird look on his face, much less the guests in the hall. Haha, old Yi, didn't you tell me before that you appreciate my Rise of the Dragon very much? Come, let's trade. Ouyangyu was speaking to Yi Hongwei. Yet both his eyes never left the bone structure, and one of them seemed to even contain a burning heat. Yi Wanwan, who had been racking her brains for a solution, also turned to Ouyangyu with a puzzled face. Who am I, where am I, and what just happened? Great carving master Ouyangyu wants to swap his Rise of the Dragons in exchange for that thing I bought from the antique market for 100 yuan. What the heck? Old Yi, it's decided. I'll take this away and get someone to bring the Rise of the Dragon over here tomorrow. Ouyangyu embraced the bone structure and didn't seem to want to give it back. As the head of the Yi family, Yi Hongwei was very sharp and immediately said, "Give it to me." "Ah, you're not exchanging? I thought you found this thing very ominous?" Ouyingyu was suddenly very upset. "I won't exchange it for now," Yi Hongwei replied expressionlessly. Why are you so stingy? How about Rise of the Dragon with the peacock flies southeast?" Ouyingyu ground his teeth together. "The peacock flies southeast." Gasps suddenly reverberated at the main table. "The Peacock Flies Southeast" was one of the early works of Ouyingyu. Although it wasn't as great as Rise of the Dragon, it was still extraordinary. Old Yi, don't ever exchange it with him. Ouyingyu, this old chap, has never suffered a loss before. Professor Liu was the first to regain his senses as he reminded his friend swiftly. "Not exchanging." Yi Hongwei spoke with conviction. Hearing this, Ouyingyu was filled with disappointment and was very unwilling to return this bone structure to Yi Hongwei. His eyes were even more unwilling to part with it. Following Ouyingyu's extreme reluctance to part with the bone structure, he still returned it to Yi Hongwei, and all the elders at the main table started sizing up the bone structure curiously. It was a pity they still couldn't tell what it was exactly. Even Yi Hongwei, who was experienced and knowledgeable, couldn't come up with a reason why it seemed so valuable. "Old Yi, this granddaughter of yours is really filial. This birthday gift from her is truly a masterpiece." Ouyingyu couldn't help but speak up. At this moment, Yi Wanwan felt a little hesitant. This great carving master couldn't have seen it wrong because of his poor vision, right? "Old Ouyang, what exactly did Wanwan give him?" "I really can't tell." Zhou Qinggang probed curiously. Hearing that, Yi Hongwei looked over as well. Ouyingyu lit a cigarette and took a long drag before replying. "From the workmanship and professionalism, it can be rated as amazing. With this practice of technique and this grade of bone, it has an extraordinary implication. Generally speaking, this was made by a top craftsman during the ancient Rome era, and it was placed in the king's mansion to bring luck and shake off evil spirits." Ouyingyu had some doubts as well. "It's just that I can't really tell what material this is made of, but from the forging method, it's definitely not a fake. In my perspective, it's a gem." Oh, after Ouyingyu said that, everyone couldn't help but size it up carefully before Yi Hongwei had a chance to speak. The anger and disgust in his eyes instantly vanished, and was replaced by a hint of surprise. The more Yi Hongwei inspected it, the more he realized that this bone structure had a very domineering spirit. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Having heard what Ouyingyu said, Liang Shihan and Fang Xiumin nearly dropped their jaws in shock. At first, they thought what Yi Wanwan gave was extremely ominous and never expected that it'd be considered a gem by Ouyingyu. Seeing that Liang Shihan and Fang Xiumin still wanted to speak, Liang Jiahao immediately glared at them with fiery rage. "Haven't we been embarrassed enough tonight? Get back!" Liang Jiahao stared sternly at Fang Xiumin, seeing Liang Jiahao, who never lost his temper, become so agitated for the first time. Both mother and daughter's hearts shuddered in fear as they followed Liang Jiahao out and left without a word. At the main table, Ouyingyu didn't want to give up just yet as he said, "Old Yi, say something. Are you exchanging or not?" Yi Hongwei was silent for a while before he spoke. "This isn't my birthday gift. Wanwan said just now that this art piece wasn't what she prepared." When Yi Wanwan heard that, her eyes shifted slightly as she walked towards Yi Hongwei and said in a very gentle voice, "Grandpa, although this art piece wasn't given by me, it was from my father." "Oh." Yi Hongwei looked at Yi Xiaoting, who was seated nearby. At this moment, Yi Xiaoting was stunned. "Since when did I?" "Dad." Yi Wanwan quickly strode forward and pulled Yi Xiaoting's elbow, leading him to Yi Hongwei. "Grandpa, my father spent almost half a year begging an expert in order to get this." Yi Wanwan blurted out some nonsense she just came up with. "Who's the expert?" Yi Hongwei asked. "Grandpa, that expert already retired, so he doesn't want his name revealed." Yi Wanwan was worried her father wouldn't know how to answer, so she simply made up a story. Yi Hongwei didn't give much thought to what she said. After all, this item was authentic, and Ouyingyu already confirmed this point. "Xiaoting, is this really the gift you prepared for me? Tonight, This was the first time Yi Hongwei looked at this son of his who had let him down. This. Yi Xiaoting turned to Yi Wanwan, who was next to him. Due to the urging in her eyes, he finally nodded his head and said, "Yes, father. I hope you like it." Yi Hongwei's expression turned warmer. "It's rare that you're so thoughtful." After speaking, Yi Hongwei gave a sideways glance at Ouyang Yu and stood up, taking back the bone structure. Since it was given to him, he obviously had the right to keep it. "Are you really so stingy? Can't I even do some research with it?" Ouyang Yu was suddenly upset. Yi Hongwei didn't bother responding. He placed the bone structure aside then said, "Xiaoting, what do you call this thing?" This bone structure was much more valuable than Ouyang Yu's Rise of the Dragon, so Yi Hongwei naturally wanted to know its name. Yi Xiaoting was obviously unable to answer, and Yi Wanwan quickly said unflinchingly, "Grandpa, Dad's friend said this item has no name, and is waiting for someone whose fate is intertwined with it to give it a name. Why don't you name it, Grandpa?" "Really?" Yi Hongwei inspected it carefully and thought deeply for a moment. "Then let's call it Demon Subduer, how about that?" Yi Hongwei was extremely satisfied with this bone structure, and had given it a name personally. Ouyang Yu stroked his beard and sneered unwillingly, "Demon Subduer, it does indeed suit this item." Hearing that, everyone started chiming in and praised. Huang Mingquan's face sunk completely when he realized that not only did he not make a fool out of Yi Wanwan, he even put her in the limelight. He was about to say something, but he made eye contact with Yi Yi in the crowd, and only then did he retreat, albeit unwillingly. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. After that, Yi Wanwan and her father returned to their seats. Their table was in the corner, so aside from people in their family, there was nobody else there. After everyone returned to their seats, the whole family was silent. Yi Wanwan sat on an empty seat next to Yi Mufan, opposite her parents. Just now, Yi Wanwan's aggressiveness towards the hateful uncle's family, and her fluid performance in front of her grandfather and the guests was done so skillfully and easily, like a butcher handling a cleaver. At this moment, everyone felt helpless and blanked out, completely unable to speak. Yi Mufan had been burying his head and drinking alcohol the whole time, while Yi Xiaoting looked very perplexed and was completely silent. Liang Wanjun kept looking at her daughter, and couldn't sit still. She had many questions she wanted to ask, many things she wanted to say, but when she recalled the misunderstanding and attitude of her daughter towards them, she was hesitant and didn't know how to communicate with her daughter. There was a deadlock in the atmosphere. Yi Wanwan clenched her fist and was about to speak, but she swallowed her words back once they reached the tip of her tongue. She already prepared numerous things to say and do when she saw them again. But now, her brain was at a complete loss. What should I say? Sorry? Hundreds, no thousands of sorries wouldn't be enough for all the outrageous deeds she did in the past. She spent so much effort and had done so much. She toiled over her studies, but after reaching this point, she realized that everything she did was useless. It was all useless. When she saw her parents' old and frail faces, and how her parents were ridiculed by her uncle and auntie's family in front of everyone, the guilt and remorse spread in her heart, making it even harder to face them. Yi Wanwan opened her mouth, but her throat was exceptionally hoarse. In the end, when Liang Wanjun looked at her daughter like that, she couldn't hold back anymore and didn't care whether her daughter still hated and despised her. Using her maternal instincts, she reached out her hand and gently stroked her daughter's hair while heartache filled her eyes. "Wanwan, you're thinner. It must be really hard outside." Hearing that, Yi Wanwan was taken aback at first, then the tears started flowing as she crashed on the table. And Yi Wanwan's tears were like a switch. They immediately broke the silence. Liang Wanjun didn't care about anything else, and went past her husband and son, rushing over to her daughter. "Wanwan, what's wrong? Why are you crying? Have you been bullied outside?" Not only was Liang Wanjun worried, but even Yi Xiaoting, who wasn't good with words and had been silent throughout, became anxious and looked panicky. "Baby, what's wrong? Hurry, tell daddy. Did someone bully you?" Yi Wanwan's tears flowed down even more profusely. After how she treated them in the past, after all the ridiculous things she did, She was still worried that they'd never forgive her and what she should do if they really didn't forgive her. However, never did she consider what to do if that didn't happen at all. Just from a single teardrop, they held no grudge against her and still cared so much for her and loved her as always. Mommy. Yi Wanwan suddenly pounced into Liang Wanjun's arms. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have treated you and Daddy like that, shouldn't have said those words that hurt the both of you. I know my mistakes, please don't be mad at me. Don't leave me, alright? Suddenly being embraced by her daughter and hearing her daughter say those words, Liang Wanjun's face was filled with disbelief and tears started flowing out as well. Silly child. How could Daddy and Mommy be mad at you? Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Yi Xiaoting's eyes were slightly red as he turned away in an attempt to hide his face. Yi Mufan looked at his younger sister, who seemed to have become a completely different person. He was perplexed, remaining silent, but there was an obvious hint of doubt in his eyes. Yi Wanwan looked at her father. Daddy, sorry. I know my mistakes. I was the one who harmed you. You're in this plight because you tried to save me. Our family's in this plight all because of me. Hearing her words, Yi Xiaoting's face changed and he lowered his voice. You? How did you find out? Who told you? Yi Wanwan rubbed her nose and thought about it. It seemed like there was no reasonable way of explaining how she found out about this. Thus, she turned her head towards Yi Mufan and said, Guji told me. Better to push the blame onto her blood brother. Yi Mufan, who was minding his own business and drinking alcohol, heard what she said and his face was totally stunned. He received a smack on his back from his father before he could even react. Bastard! Didn't I tell you never to tell your sister, huh? I didn't say it. How could I have said it? Not you? Then tell me, how did you sister find out? Yi Xiaoting didn't believe him. Liang Wanjun also blamed him. Mufan, you're ridiculous. What if something happens to Wanwan? Yi Mufan was so mad that he glared at Yi Wanwan. I really wasn't one who told her. This girl is lying. Yi Wanwan buried herself in her mother's embrace, blinked then said meekly, I'm not lying, Gigi is lying. Bastard. You're still lying. Yi Mufan got another smack from his father. Damn. Why do you guys believe her and not me? Yi Mufan was so mad and kept yapping on about how neither of his parents believed him. With all this noise, the atmosphere around the family of four became much more harmonious. Now they understood why Yi Wanwan underwent such a drastic change. At the same time, Liang Wanjun and Yi Xiaoting were very worried. They were afraid their daughter had suffered too much trauma and couldn't handle it. Yi Wanwan naturally saw through her parents' worries, so she comforted them. Daddy, Mommy, don't worry, I'm really fine. At first, when I just found out the truth, it was quite hard to bear, but I know there's no use feeling terrible and upset. I have to study hard to make the two of you proud. Work hard so you guys don't have to worry about clothing or food. It's my fault, so I must bear this responsibility. I will get back everything that belongs to the Yi family. Yi Mufan couldn't help but look at her. If this was in the past, he would definitely scoff at what she said, but now she did, in fact, get into imperial media with top results and her attitude changed drastically. However, the things she did in the past made it hard for him to believe her. Seeing that their daughter had actually grown up overnight, Liang Wanjun and Yi Xiaoting were touched, but their hearts were breaking. She must have gone through such painful times to end up with such a big change. Yi Xiaoting sighed. Wanwan, it's not your fault. It's Daddy's fault. Daddy didn't protect you well enough. Liang Wanjun's heart was in pieces. Wanwan, you don't have to suffer like that. Daddy and Mommy are fine. We just want you to be well. Yi Wanwan wiped her tears. The reflection of light in her eyes was like a myriad of stars. Daddy, Mommy, don't keep treating me like a small child. I've already grown up, and I can protect the both of you now. The husband and wife's eyes reddened as they listened to her words. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Yi Mufan seemed a little drunk. His eyes filled with ridicule as he sneered in a low voice. Tizke protect? Just you alone? How are you going to protect? Our family's done for. Everything ended long ago. Everything's gone. Right now they had nothing at all, so what could they use to fight second uncle's family? How could they take back what was theirs? Tisk, she's so naive. After Yi Mufan spoke, the table entered a silence once again. At this moment, gasps of amazement suddenly resounded from the main table. Immediately, all the guests turned towards the main table. Yi Yi and Gu Yuze had taken out a calligraphy painting and were about to unroll it. The words on the painting had a simple and unadorned vibe, but it looked like it could suck viewers into the painting and let them experience the scenery from long ago, firsthand. Yi Hongwei stared at the painting for a long time, and a trace of astonishment appeared in his eyes. At the main table, a few of the elders who were passionate about calligraphy painting immediately jumped up and stood next to Yi Hongwei. After they inspected the painting, each of them gasped in amazement. It's amazing. This is really the writings of Mei Jingzhou, Great Master Mei. An old man exclaimed excitedly. At the bottom of the painting was the genuine seal of Mei Jingzhou. Autumn dusk in the mountain? Yi Hongwei couldn't shift his gaze away from the calligraphy painting. Yi Hongwei was passionate about calligraphy and painting antiques. Calligraphy painting was at the top of his list of favorites. Currently, the person he admired most was the national treasure and painter, Great Master Mei Jingzhou. Every calligraphy painting by Mei Jingzhou had an extraordinarily high value. There was nobody in the entire country who could surpass him. Grandpa, this is indeed autumn dusk in the mountain, Yi said softly. Grandpa, Yi knew you loved Great Master Mei's calligraphy painting, and after numerous tries, she managed to obtain this painting from Great Master Mei. Gu Yuze laughed. Not long ago, Gu Yuze used his status in Gu Group and his father's name to request this painting. Initially, he wanted to get Great Master Mei to appear at this banquet, but it was a pity. Great Master Mei was really hard to invite, and only said he would consider coming without giving him a definite answer. At first, Gu Yuze and Yi Yi were still somewhat hopeful, but Great Master Mei hadn't given them a reply up till now. It must have been hard for you, Yi. Yi Hongwei looked at Yi Yi with an adoring gaze. As long as Grandpa likes it, Yi's perfectly content, Yi replied. This is the greatest surprise that Grandpa received today, and also my favorite birthday gift. Good children, very thoughtful of the both of you, Yi Hongwei smiled. At this moment, housekeeper Huang Mingkuan rushed to Yi Yi's side and whispered a few words into her ear. Really? Yi Yi's face was filled with surprise. Huang Mingkuan just told her that Great Master Mei had come personally with a gift. Yuze, Great Master Mei is here. Yi Yi pulled Gu Yuze to the side and said excitedly. Hearing that, Gu Yuze was slightly taken aback and asked in disbelief, Great Master Mei really came? And Yi Yi nodded. He just reached the house and will be here soon. At this moment, Gu Yuze looked at Yi Yi and said with a gentle smile, I already said there wouldn't be a problem. Yi Yi was filled with happiness as she looked into Gu Yuze's eyes with admiration. It's all thanks to Uncle's reputation. With that said, everyone in the hall turned their gaze to the back with a swish. A certain elderly man around 60 years old dressed in a gray and white tang suit strode into the hall with his assistant. Damn. No way. Is it really the man himself? Mei Jingzhou, Great Master Mei? All the artistes from Emperor Sky were completely dumbfounded. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Yi Yi and Gu Yuze immediately stood up and walked towards the elder. Great Master Mei, we're truly honored to be able to finally see you. Yi Yi looked surprised and was extremely welcoming. Good evening, Great Master Mei. I'm Gutsong's son, Gu Yuze. Gu Yuze smiled and introduced himself. Mei Jingzhou nodded. Good evening. Indeed, he knew who Gutsong from Imperial City Gu Group was. The two of them had some interactions before. Some time ago, Gutsong also spent a hefty amount to obtain the painting, Autumn Dusk in the Mountain. Seeing Yi Yi and Gu Yuze standing at the sides of Mei Jingzhou, all the guests in the hall suddenly saw the light. Not only did they give the old man a calligraphy painting of Great Master Mei Jingzhou, they even brought the master here personally. Not far off, Yi Xiaoting also kept looking towards Great Master Mei Jingzhou. Just like his old man, Yi Xiaoting also appreciated great master Mei Jingzhou's calligraphy paintings and revered him. He already wanted to meet Mei Jingzhou for some time, but Mei Jingzhou was a very private person and didn't appear in public often, so he hadn't had any chances to meet him all this time. Yi Wanwan narrowed her eyes and appeared amazed. It's really Mei Jingzhou. Yi Wanwan wasn't very familiar with Mei Jingzhou, but her father and her grandfather both loved great master Mei's calligraphy painting, so she knew a little about him. She also knew what bringing this man here meant. At this point in time, the Gu family's power already reached this point. They were actually able to invite Mei Jingzhou himself to attend Grandpa's birthday banquet. Yi Xiaoting sighed. It's great master Mei Jingzhou himself, there's no mistaking it. Yi Mufan looked sideways at Yi Wanwan face of worship. Humph, that's right. It's Mei Jingzhou. Your fiancé's so capable, huh? Great master Mei, this way please. Gu Yuzhe raised his right hand and gestured respectfully, leading in front and walking towards the main table. Yi Yi accompanied Mei Jingzhou. Her movements were elegant as she softly informed him of Yi Hongwei's situation. Just as he reached the main table, the elders all stood up and greeted Mei Jingzhou as if they were on familiar terms, and each person went to shake his hand. Haha, old Yi, this granddaughter of yours is really capable. She actually managed to invite Mr. Mei Jingzhou over. One elder laughed, clearly envious. At this moment, Yi Hongwei was already standing up, right next to Mei Jingzhou. Seeing Mei Jingzhou, he was still somewhat in disbelief. Mr. Yi, since it's your birthday, I prepared something small for you. Yi Hongwei was overwhelmed with honor. He went blank for a period of time before reacting. Great Master Mei, the Yi family is already greatly honored by your gracious presence. Yi Hongwei truly admired Mei Jingzhou. Mei Jingzhou smiled slightly and allowed his assistant to step forward, presenting 2 calligraphy paintings. The assistant opened both paintings and placed them before Yi Hongwei. The first painting was a majestic white tiger roaring in the woods with a torrential river. The white tiger was vivid and lifelike. Its stance looked like it could escape from the painting. Amazing! Any works from the hand of old Mei are indeed admirable. Li Yu and Zhou Qinggang peered closely and praised him to the high heavens. Yi Hongwei was astonished. This drawing from Mei Jingzhou was at a completely different level compared to Autumn Dusk in the Mountain. Shortly after, everyone caught a glimpse of the second painting. There were dark clouds everywhere with thunder and lightning. In the clouds, there was a green celestial dragon brushing the clouds away, revealing the dragon's head overlooking heaven and earth, mountains and rivers. It had a hint of unyielding and tyrannical grandeur, and it made the viewer feel as if he was really there, looking up at the azure dragon in the painting. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. After a long time, Yi Hongwei's eyes finally left the 2 paintings. He couldn't hold back as he exclaimed, Mr. Mei's works are truly eye-openers. Amazing, amazing. This painting is called Heaven and Earth. The dragon protects the heavens, and the tiger protects the earth. It looks like 2 separate paintings, but actually, if you put them together, it becomes one entire art piece. Mei Jingzhou smiled. Heaven and Earth. The dragon is the king of the heavens, the tiger guards the earth. Great name. The group of elders started commenting. Mr. Yi, I'm giving these 2 paintings as a birthday gift to you. I hope you'll accept them, Mei Jingzhou said. This is too much. Although Yi Hongwei was exceptionally happy, he naturally had to refuse this expensive gift. Mr. Yi, you're too kind. They're just some works I did while I was bored. I'm happy as long as you like it, Mei Jingzhou laughed. Grandpa, this is a token of appreciation from Great Master Mei. You should accept it. Yi Yi said. Hearing that, Yi Hongwei nodded. All right, thank you so much for the nice gift, Mr. Mei. At that moment, everyone in the hall was flabbergasted. This Yi Yi and Gu Yuzhe seriously gave the most impressive gift tonight. Not only did they give him the painting, Autumn Dusk in the Mountain, they even invited Mei Jingzhou himself, who then gave Yi Hongwei another painting, Heaven and Earth. Yi Hongwei looked at Yi Yi with an adoring gaze. His granddaughter, Yi Yi, had given him too many surprises during the banquet tonight. Old Yi, it's a huge blessing to have such an obedient granddaughter like Yi. Haha, I really didn't expect her to invite Great Master Mei over to celebrate your birthday. No one can deny that Yi and Gu Yuzhe put a lot of effort into this. Hearing the praise from the guests at the main table, Yi Hongwei obviously enjoyed every bit of it. Yi laughed gently. We, as the younger generation, have to do our best to get whatever Grandpa likes. After Mei Jingzhou finished toasting Yi Hongwei, everyone wanted to step forward and talk to him, but he turned and started walking in another direction. Not far off, Yi Wanwan watched this scene calmly. She noticed Mei Jingzhou had turned around and his eyes met hers, then he started walking towards her. Miss Wanwan, I trust you've been well since we last met. Mei Jingzhou quickly reached Yi Wanwan with a smile on his face. Seeing that Mei Jingzhou was suddenly speaking to her, Yi Wanwan was stunned. You've been well since we last met? She hadn't met Mei Jingzhou before. Furthermore, she wasn't even in the same league as him. Yi Wanwan knows Great Master Mei as well? She made Great Master Mei go over and say hello to her. They must know each other. Yi Hongwei placed his wine down and followed behind Mei Jingzhou as he asked in surprise, Mr. Mei, you know Wanwan? Hearing that, Mei Jingzhou nodded and said, Of course, we became friends despite the difference in age and have known each other for a long time. Oh, Yi Hongwei was even more surprised. Yi Wanwan actually knows Great Master Mei. Yi Xiaoting and Liang Wanjun had the same look on their faces. They never knew Yi Wanwan knew Mei Jingzhou. Miss Wanwan, you should have told me about the party earlier. I could have prepared more, Mei Jingzhou said. Yi Wanwan blinked and stood rooted to the ground. She had no idea what Mei Jingzhou was saying. Is he really talking to me? Great Master Mei, what's the meaning of this? Yi Hongwei and everyone else had the same bewildered expression. And Mr. Yi still has no idea? Mei Jingzhou smiled. I'm here tonight at Mr. Ye's birthday banquet, because of my little friend Wanwan's request to congratulate Mr. Yi on your birthday. Mei Jingzhou's words were like thunderclaps on the ground. The entire hall went completely silent. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. In the banquet hall, it was completely silent as everyone's eyes immediately shifted from Yi Yi and Gu Yuzhe to Yi Wanwan. Everyone initially thought that Yi Yi was the one who invited Mei Jingzhou to celebrate Yi Hongwei's birthday, but just now, Great Master Mei Jingzhou said his presence had nothing to do with Yi Yi. Following what Mei Jingzhou said, the smiles on Yi Yi and Gu Yuzhe's faces instantly froze. What Great Master Mei meant was, you were invited by Yi Wanwan. Of course, Mei Jingzhou said matter-of-factly. Gu Yuzhe choked. Although Yi Wanwan looked calm and expressionless on the surface, deep down, she was in complete turmoil. What's going on? Why did Mei Jingzhou say he knows me, and that he's here at grandfather's birthday because of my request? I'm afraid nobody in all of Imperial City can invite Mei Jingzhou. How was I able to invite this great god? Yi Wanwan didn't understand until a name randomly flashed in her head. Yi Han. If he was behind this, getting this great master to come would be a piece of cake. But how could that be? It was already an enormous favor for him to not prohibit her from going to the birthday banquet, so why would he go to such lengths to present such a great gift to her grandfather? How could Mei Jingzhou be here not because of Gu Yuzhe's dad's invitation but instead, because of me? Gu Yuzhe was obviously in disbelief and wanted to continue probing, but he saw that Mei Jingzhou's attitude was very clear, and if he kept asking, he'd only make a fool out of himself. Thus, he could only put on a calm and composed face and say, Whatever brought you here, we're glad you were able to make it today. Yi also chimed in earnestly. That's right, as long as Grandpa's happy. I really didn't expect that Yi Wanwan would know someone like Great Master Mei Jingzhou. At this moment, the entire hall was filled with exclamations of surprise. Seems like we were all wrong. This granddaughter from the Yi family, who is said to be useless and incompetent, is actually a lady with hidden talents. Exactly. She's actually friends with someone like Mei Jingzhou despite their age gap. Which person from the younger generation in Imperial City could accomplish that? Even if Yi Xiaoting is down and out now, as the saying goes, a tiger father would never beget a dog daughter. At this moment, Yi Hongwei viewed Yi Wanwan in a different light once again. Could it be that this granddaughter, whom he had completely given up on, had really been enlightened and straightened out her thinking? After Yi Wanwan modestly chatted a bit with Grandpa and everyone else, she found a chance to speak to Mei Jingzhou alone. "Mr. Mei, do you really know me?" Yi Wanwan looked at him with an inquisitive gaze. Although he didn't seem to have any ill intentions, this whole situation was fishy, so she still wanted to clear things up. Mei Jingzhou said earnestly, "Of course, Ms. Wanwan." "Why do you ask?" Seeing that Mei Jingzhou was steadfast in his convictions, Yi Wanwan grew even more suspicious as she mumbled, "How could that be? Why don't I recall meeting you? I'm afraid you've forgotten, little friend." Mei Jingzhou didn't change his expression, and looked a little disappointed even. The corners of Yi Wanwan's lips twitched. "I'm still very young." "What do you mean?" Mei Jingzhou was confused. Yi Wanwan smiled slightly. "What I meant was that it's not possible for me to get dementia at such a young age. I think I really don't know you, Mr. Mei." Mei Jingzhou coughed lightly. Yi Wanwan didn't want to beat around the bush, so she asked directly, "Mr. Mei, did Si Han send you here? Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon." Mei Jingzhou furrowed his brows and looked confused. "I really have no idea who Miss Yi's talking about." Seeing that Mei Jingzhou maintained this genuinely confused expression, Yi Wanwan was completely flabbergasted. She was adamant that she had never known someone like Mei Jingzhou at all. There was no chance. She never thought that the great master would be so proficient in acting. His acting skills were too great, huh? Forget it. Since he refused to confess, there was no use even if she kept pushing the matter. Yi Wanwan could only give up and return to her parents. Gu Yuzhe had been staring at Yi Wanwan for a while now and his face turned ugly, seeing her converse happily with the great master. That bony artifact was one thing, but no matter how capable Yi Wanwan was, it was impossible for her to invite someone like Mei Jingzhou to attend a private birthday banquet. There was only one person capable of inviting Mei Jingzhou in all of Imperial City. Thinking about that person, Gu Yuzhe's face darkened immediately. Ever since he left Jean Garden that last time, he hadn't asked about Yi Wanwan again. It was already extremely benevolent of him to offer to help Yi Wanwan that one time. Initially, he thought Yi Wanwan would get sick of the game after a couple days, but he didn't expect that after so long, she'd still be involved with that guy. Yuzhe. What is it? Are you alright? What are you thinking about?" Gu Yuzhe looked at the delicate beauty standing next to him, and his expression turned gentle and soft. "Of course. I'm thinking about us. If Yi Wanwan wanted to humiliate herself, she could go ahead and humiliate herself. Anyway, what she did had nothing to do with him anymore. Today he would cut off all relations he had with her, and give Yi Yi a proper status." Yi Yi knew what he was referring to, so she blushed and said casually, "I'll go say hi to Uncle and Auntie." Gu Yuzhe furrowed his brows. "Whatever for?" Yi Yi looked at him helplessly and persuaded him. "Yuzhe, don't be like that. We're relatives after all." Gu Yuzhe couldn't rebut. "I'll go with you then." Then the two of them carried their wine glasses and walked over to Yi Xiaoting's table. Yi Yi said courteously, "Uncle, Auntie, it's rare to see you guys drop by. Let me know if you need anything. My parents and grandmother were unable to make it today due to the big snow at M Country, so the airport closed. I'm managing the banquet alone, so if you find anything unsatisfactory, please forgive me." Her speech was flawless and was masterful. Gu Yuzhe didn't have any intention of speaking to Yi Xiaoting and the others. He didn't even look at Yi Wanwan as if he was afraid that Yi Yi would be upstaged. He simply stood quietly by Yi Yi's side the whole time. When Yi Xiaoting saw the two of them going everywhere as a couple throughout the banquet, he already felt very upset in his heart. Now they were still acting like that right in front of him, and his face turned much uglier. As Yi Xiaoting's expression darkened, he looked at the young man whom he had admired a lot in the past. "Yuzhe, I already see you as my child and your engagement with Wanwan still exists to this day. But you're acting like that with Yi in public. Where's your respect for Wanwan?" Facing the interrogation from Yi Xiaoting, a shadow of gloominess appeared on Gu Yuzhe's face and he said, "Uncle Yi, in the past, I always regarded you as someone I deeply respected, but I really didn't expect that you would betray your family and harm the company's interests just for your personal gain. People who walk different paths can't make plans together. I can't disregard my morals, just for the sake of our past relationship. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Gu Yuze spoke with righteousness all over his face before turning to Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan and I never had any feelings for each other from the beginning, but Uncle Yi kept forcing me. I think I've already been nice not to turn against you. Hearing what Gu Yuze said, Yi Mufan's tightly clenched fists nearly flew into his face. Clearly, this bastard disregarded his principles in the pursuit of profits. Seeing that his dad lost everything, he immediately started fooling around with Yi Yi, but was afraid people would start talking, so he didn't immediately call off the engagement. Now he's saying that he endured humiliation and carried a heavy burden. He's completely shameless. Although Yi Mufan sneered in his heart, he purposely kept quiet and smiled wryly at Yi Wanwan. As expected, when Yi Wanwan saw Gu Yuze, she was instantly frightened and hadn't dared to say a word from the start till the end. Sorry, Mr. Yi Xiaoting. In consideration for the past friendship we had, I've been making Yi Yi suffer for way too long. My engagement with Yi Wanwan comes to an end right now. Gu Yuze didn't even address him as Uncle Yi anymore. He turned around and promptly left with Yi Yi after speaking. Wanwan. Yi Yi turned towards Yi Wanwan and left with Gu Yuze with an apologetic look. This ass hit asterisk. Yi Xiaoting was so mad that his face turned red and his chest heaved violently. Today he hadn't felt provoked from all the humiliation he received today, but at the moment, he was furious. Liang Wanjun pulled her daughter's hand, worried. Wanwan. Yi Mufan looked at the Yi Wanwan who still hadn't muttered a word and scoffed softly at her with a look of ridicule. Yi Wanwan, you're really something. You didn't even so much as let out a fart when you saw Gu Yuze. Didn't you speak so well just now in front of Daddy and Mommy? What's up? Feeling dejected from seeing him being so protective and caring towards Yi Yi? Talk about protecting Daddy and Mommy. I bet once that Gu guy simply raises his finger and beckons you over, you'll forget about your surname, your name, who gave birth to you and who raised you, huh? Mufan, stop it. Liang Wanjun shot a look at Yi Mufan crossly. Yi Mufan himphed. Did I say something wrong? You can change mountains and rivers, but not a person's nature. It's not like this hasn't happened before. Just a piece of advice, please take a good look at her tonight. If not, we never know whether we have to make a spectacle of ourselves once again. Yi Mufan's attitude didn't bother Yi Wanwan, and the corners of her mouth curved upwards into a lazy smile as she chuckled. Good Ji, you worry too much. I didn't open my mouth because I can't be bothered to speak to that person. After all, Ji, people grow up and their tastes change. Today, your little sister really has to turn her nose up at level Gu Yuze's at. Yi Mufan was taken aback when he heard that. He obviously didn't expect Yi Wanwan would say something like this. In the past, if he said a single bad thing about Gu Yuze, she turned hostile towards him. Yi Wanwan continued leisurely. I'm unlike Ji. After so many years, your taste hasn't improved at all. Yi Mufan could hear the sarcasm behind Yi Wanwan's words, and his face changed. He immediately slammed the wine glass in his hand onto the table. Yi Wanwan, what do you mean by that, huh? Yi Wanwan smiled fakely. Good Ji, you said yourself that I would forget my surname and name for a man, and wouldn't even acknowledge my parents. But what about you? Are you any better than me? Weren't you completely entranced by a girl as well? You didn't even hesitate to descend from your status and become a slave. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Yi Mufan was exasperated. Alright, it's not easy for our family to be together like this today, so stop fighting. Liang Wanjun saw the two siblings had started fighting again, and quickly tried to intervene. Yi Mufan suppressed the fiery rage within him, and continued drinking his wine non-stop. At this moment, the banquet was halfway through. Yi took the microphone and stood on stage entertaining the guests and offered birthday wishes, naturally and unconstrained, exuding a grandeur and gracefulness. As Yi Shaoan, his wife and the old madam were unable to rush back due to the snow, this entire grand banquet was managed solely by Yi Yi from beginning till the end. Everything was clean and orderly, so the main guest was extremely grateful. Every guest had their eyes on Yi Yi was full of praise for her. She's indeed worthy of being the elder's favorite granddaughter in the entire Yi family. She already had the demeanor of someone in charge of the house. If someone could marry a good wife like her, he truly has good fortune. Don't think about it, she's already been snatched up by the Gu family. Didn't you see how the two of them were inseparable tonight? The two of them are truly an ideal couple, a pair made in heaven. Tisk, I'm just afraid someone won't stop pestering him. With that said, all the guests turned towards a certain figure seated at the corner. Actually, based on looks, Yi Wanwan's a cut above her. Also, she got into Imperial Media University with such high scores and even has friendly relations with Old May. Everyone knew that saying a cut above was actually tactful. It wasn't even an exaggeration to say that Yi Wanwan's appearance today stunned everybody, not to mention her various surprising performances today. However, everyone knew that no matter how beautiful Yi Wanwan was and how outstanding she was, why did it matter? With Yi Shaoting in this current situation, Yi Wanwan could never compare to Yi Yi. Even if she continued pestering Gu Yuze, they were both in different worlds. Everyone lamented over this. When Yi Yi was done with her speech, Gu Yuze suddenly walked towards the stage. Yi Yi glanced at the man. A tinge of hesitation appeared in her eyes. Gu Yuze held Yi Yi's hand. His eyes filled with tenderness as he spoke gently. Yi, I know you care about your cousin's feelings, but please accept this as I'm begging you. Please think of yourself and think of me too. I want everyone to know, the whole world to know that you're mine. Yi Yi listened to Gu Yuze's words and was very moved. In the end she nodded. Everyone saw how Gu Yuze suddenly rushed to the stage. Their eyes instinctively turned to Gu Yuze with a hunger for juicy gossip and curiosity, unsure of what Gu Yuze was planning to do. Only Yi Wanwan, who was in the corner, knew that tonight, not only was Gu Yuze announcing the annulment of their engagement, he was also making it publicly known that he and Yi Yi would be engaged, crushing their entire family's hopes to the ground. Just because of this incident, she made a huge din in her previous life and completely embarrassed her parents. In this life, history seemed to repeat itself. Everyone, I'm very sorry. I'll need to take up a little of your time. Gu Yuze held the microphone and spoke suddenly. Everyone's eyes were on the tall and handsome man on stage, waiting for him to continue. Yi Wanwan raised her head, drank the last mouthful of tea in her cup, and stood up. Yi Mufan saw Yi Wanwan stand up, and immediately tensed up as instinctively grabbed her hand. Yi Wanwan, what are you trying to do? Yi Wanwan's cherry lips curled up slightly as she calmly removed her hand from Yi Mufan's grasp. None of your business. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Yi Mufan was so exasperated that he stopped caring and watched as Yi Wanwan made her way, step by step, towards the stage where Gu Yuze and Yi Yi were. I knew she would lose her reasoning once she saw Gu Yuze. Now you guys believe me, huh? There was a trace of sorrow hidden in the darkness in Yi Mufan's eyes, and his fingers were almost white from clenching his fists. If it wasn't for this bastard, his relationship with his younger sister wouldn't have turned out this way. Liang Wanjun's eyes were filled with worry as she looked at her daughter. Mufan, don't say that about Wanwan. She changed a lot, so I believe she won't behave too rashly. Yi Shaoting sighed and had nothing to say. Even if his daughter lost control and did something rash, he didn't have the ability to secure his daughter's happiness as her father, so he didn't have the right to blame or stop her. After noticing the red figure walking towards the stage, everyone's eyes shifted from Gu Yuze and Yi Yi to Yi Wanwan. After all, Yi Wanwan's appearance and aura were too alluring wherever she went. She attracted everyone's attention. Gu Yuze looked at the girl making her way slowly towards the stage, and his expression turned colder, bit by bit. To be fair, Yi Wanwan really changed his impression of her today, but that was about it. He would never marry a worthless woman, the daughter of an abandoned son. This kind of woman could probably be a lover or a sex partner, but she wasn't qualified to be his wife at all. Although Yi Wanwan's pestering had satisfied his vanity as a man, she overdid it and was rather irritating, especially on such an important day like today. When Yi Wanwan came closer, Gu Yuze immediately pulled Yi to his side to protect her, looking wary and on guard. Second young mistress Yi, is anything the matter? A smile slowly appeared on Yi Wanwan's picturesque face as she said politely, Mr. Gu, may I have the microphone, please? That smile was simply a look of fawning adoration, bedazzling all living things. Only the sound of the air conditioning running in the hall was heard. Even Gu Yuze went blank for a moment, and narrowed his ice-cold eyes as his black pupils sized up the girl in front of him suspiciously. Yi Wanwan didn't speak either, and stood there waiting. The audience exploded into a cacophony of excited murmurs. Wow! Both his new and old lovers appeared on the same stage. This is so exciting. What trouble is Yi Wanwan trying to stir up this time? Could it be a public confession of her love? Either that or she's going to make a scene. Anyway, it's not like she hasn't done any of this before. Seeing that Yi Wanwan had appeared on stage all of a sudden, Yi Hongwei's face turned slightly ugly and wanted to get someone to stop her, but Gu Yuze already passed the microphone over to Yi Wanwan. Thank you. Yi Wanwan took the microphone and thanked him courteously. Gu Yuze looked indifferent, not making any comment. Yi raised her head to look at Gu Yuze worried. Gu Yuze shot her a reassuring look. Even if Yi Wanwan wanted to make a scene, he didn't intend on stopping her. On the contrary, the more trouble Yi Wanwan caused, the more advantageous it was to him. Distinguished guests, friends, thank you for coming today. Yi Wanwan made all these pleasantries leisurely. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Her aura wasn't the least bit inferior to Yi Yi's. On the contrary, her calm and relaxed expression looked like someone in charge of a household. After she exchanged some conventional greetings, Yi Wanwan finally got to the main point. Taking advantage of the fact that all my friends and family are here today, I'd like to take up a bit of your time to make an announcement. Make an announcement? There were murmurs around the hall instantly, curious about what Yi Wanwan was planning. At this moment, the old master called housekeeper Huang Mingkuan over, and got him to prepare for any situation. A bright light flashed across Huang Mingkuan's eyes, and he instantly called over a bunch of security guards on standby. Yi Mufan stared at the stage and drank a whole glass of wine in one go. A clear and melodious voice reverberated through the hall. Everyone knows that the chairman of the Gu Group, Gu Yuze, and I have an engagement. With that said, everybody revealed a knowing look and anticipated that she was going to talk more about this. Is she going to announce her sovereignty? Force him to submit? Seeing the two of them walking around as man and wife, completely ignoring her, how could she not be anxious? Yi Xiaoting's in this dire state today. He was chased out of his family, and even has a buttload of debt to clear, so Yi Wanwan obviously has to cling on to this big pillar of support, Gu Yuze. While everyone whispered to each other, the girl on the stage continued, however, I'm very sorry to say that today, I'd like to announce to everyone that I, Yi Wanwan, would like to officially call off my engagement with Mr. Gu Yuze. The moment Yi Wanwan said the final word, the huge hall was so silent that even the drop of a pin could be heard. Nobody reacted to what Yi Wanwan said. After a long time, the deathly stillness in the hall instantly exploded into a loud rumble. What did Yi Wanwan just say? Call off the engagement? Is she nuts? She clung on to Gu Yuze like a piece of gum, so why would she call off the engagement now? She must be lying. That's unbelievable. On stage, Gu Yuze's face turned completely glacial. Yi Wanwan actually said she wants to call off the engagement with me voluntarily? Although he was prepared to announce this issue today, since Yi Wanwan got to it before him, it looked like he got dumped by Yi Wanwan. Agitated, Gu Yuze grabbed Yi Wanwan's wrist. Yi Wanwan, what did you say? Yi Wanwan didn't show any reaction on her face as she replied coldly, Mr. Gu, I understand that you're angry, but I'm very sorry. I really don't have any feelings for you. Please conduct yourself with dignity. Don't make a big scene in front of all the guests. Yi Wanwan's words traveled to the ears of each and every one of them through the microphone. You, me making a big scene? Gu Yuze was so mad that his breathing was ragged. Yi Wanwan, you're loosening the reins to capture me, huh? You think too highly of yourself. Yi Wanwan withdrew her arm, rubbed her wrist and said indifferently, Mr. Gu, I'm afraid you're the one who thinks too highly of himself. I really have no feelings for you at all. I'm in love with someone else. Yi Wanwan's expression was too calm. She didn't have any reaction when she looked at Gu Yuze, and in everyone's eyes, it didn't look like she was faking it. In love with someone else. Hearing that, Gu Yuze seemed to have thought of something when his face stiffened. Could it be? Yi Wanwan looked at Gu Yuze's expression and said, Mr. Gu, who have you finally thought of? You've met him before, so I don't think you want to force me to say his name in front of everyone. The second Yi Wanwan said all this, her phone started blinking, indicating a notification from Weibo. Liked it. Take a second to support novels on Patreon. The second Yi Wanwan said all this, her phone started blinking, indicating a notification from Weibo. A few minutes ago, outside the Yi family's old residence. Inside a certain car hidden in the shadows was a man sitting in the back seat with a cold expression. In the driver's seat, Sui had been cursing silently for almost half an hour. They were about to return to Jean Garden just now, but in the end, his master made him change route and said they were heading to another location. Then, halfway through the journey, his master suddenly told him to stop the car. He was unsure why his master wanted to go to this place they'd never seen before, and why he asked him to stop the car halfway. But then he finally realized that the place where they stopped the car was close to the Yi family's old residence. Damn. Going to the other location was a lie. He's deliberately passing by to see his lovely concubine, huh? Sui was cursing when Si Yihan's phone suddenly rang and his little heart thumped in fright. Following that, he took a glimpse and realized that the person calling was Yi Wanwan. Fuck. Isn't this woman inside attending her grandfather's birthday banquet? Why is she calling master at this time? As his heart pumped rapidly in the back seat, the man paused for a moment before picking up the call. In the next second, the girl's voice sounded from the phone. Mr. Gu, may I have the microphone, please? Hearing that, the eyes of the man in the back seat darkened. Sui froze. What's the meaning of this? Yi Wanwan seems to be speaking to someone else. And that person has the surname Gu? It can't be. Gu Yuze, can it? Right after that, Yi Wanwan's voice continued on through the phone. Distinguished guests, friends. However, I'm very sorry to say that today I'd like to announce to everyone that I, Yi Wanwan, would like to officially call off my engagement with Mr. Gu Yuze. Mr. Gu, I understand that you're angry, but I'm very sorry. I really don't have any feelings for you. I'm in love with someone else. At the same time in the banquet hall, after Gu Yuze heard Yi Wanwan's threat, a trace of iciness appeared in his eyes. He naturally didn't want people to know that his own fiancée actually became Si Yihan's woman. If it was any other man, he'd find him below his status. There weren't many rich sons in Imperial City he feared, but of all people, it had to be Si Yihan. Aristocratic families like his weren't even qualified to look up to the Si family. While Gu Yuze kept silent with a frozen expression, Yi Wanwan whipped her skirt around and left swiftly. At the scene, a couple of rich young masters gathered in a group and exclaimed in shock repeatedly. Damn. Did I just hear wrong? Our great prince Gu has just been dumped by someone? More than just got dumped, his fiancée even announced that she's in love with another man and wants to call off the engagement. There's a Siberian plane on his head. I didn't expect that the great prince would see this day. Gu Yuze's plan tonight was perfect. Initially call off the engagement with Yi Wanwan, then announce the engagement between Yi and him. If Yi Wanwan made a big scene in between, it would be more advantageous to him. But he never imagined that Yi Wanwan would make a fool out of him in the end, and now he seemed like the one who was jilted, in a manner most humiliating for a man. Gu Yuze wasn't the only one affected. Yi's gentle and delicate little face completely stiffened. Clearly, Yi Wanwan was the one who was supposed to be dumped, but Yi Wanwan messed things up, and now it looked like she was picking up a man Yi Wanwan didn't want. Yi Mu Fan was wide awake right now, looking at Yi Wanwan like he'd just seen a ghost. Liang Wanjun and Yi Xiaoting's faces were filled with astonishment, as well they obviously didn't expect their daughter to do that. Wanwan, was everything you said just now true? Liang Wanjun asked nervously. Yi Wanwan thought about this carefully beforehand. Previously, because of the estranged relationship with her parents, it didn't really matter, but now, it was too difficult to continue hiding the fact that she was with Si Yihan. They would find out sooner or later. Rather than letting her parents have wild speculations about her in the future, it was better she eliminate the danger now. Thus Yi Wanwan nodded and replied, "Daddy, Mommy, it's true." Liang Wanjun was overjoyed at the unexpected news. "Where's he from? How old is he? What does he do? Is he reliable?" Yi Wanwan replied helplessly, "Cough, Mom, it's not a good time for me to go into the details today. Next time, I'll explain everything and bring him home to meet you." She considered this before and felt that it wasn't a solution in the long term. She had to think of a way to make Si Yihan less repulsive towards the people around her. Suddenly, Yi Wanwan heard a noise coming from her phone, and only then did she realize that forgot to switch it off, and Si Yihan hadn't hung up as well. Yi Wanwan hung up the phone suspiciously. What was that noise? Did I say anything wrong just now? After hearing what their daughter said, Liang Wanjun and Yi Xiaoting finally eased up and nodded. Yi Wanwan stood in front of her parents and gave a gentle and lovable smile. "Daddy, Mommy, let's go home." Sure. Right here, right now." The husband and wife were finally sure that their willful and impetuous daughter had really changed. Before leaving, the whole family bid farewell to the old man. Yi Xiaoting and Liang Wanjun were worried that the old man would scold Yi Wanwan, and was about to speak up on her behalf. However, before the old man could make things difficult for them, Yi Wanwan hung her head low and apologized of her own accord. "Grandpa, I'm sorry Wanwan was too rash today, but if this continues to drag on, it's a pain for me, for Gu Yuzhe and for Cousin Yi. It'd be better to take swift and ruthless action now and settle things once and for all. In the past, I was too possessive, but I've straightened out my thinking and decided that I want to live my life to the fullest." Yi Wanwan looked like she was suffering and enduring pain as she spoke. It was as if she had concealed innumerable grievances and sorrows. The old man had a belly full of fury initially, but after seeing the girl hanging her head low and biting her lips, he couldn't be angry at her anymore. What should he be mad about? Mad that she called off the engagement without permission? But it was true that her engagement with that Gu chap had ceased to exist except in name long ago. Things were exactly as she said. There were no benefits for the three of them if they dragged things on. As for telling everyone that she called off the engagement because she was in love with someone else, bearing the charge of betraying her fiancé, that was totally groundless. Ultimately, Gu Yuzhe already acted like a couple with Yi Yi in public while he was still engaged, so he was really in no position to criticize Yi Wanwan for her behavior. So in the end, Yi Hongwei realized that he couldn't even speak one word of criticism towards her. On the contrary, seeing the way his granddaughter treated that chap from the Gu family different from how she used to, and seeing as she took the initiative to cut off all relations, he actually found that their Yi family had some character. "All right, just this once. Go home." After thinking for a while, Yi Hongwei said just these 6 words. Yi Wanwan nodded obediently. "And goodbye, Grandpa. Take care of your health. I'll visit you often." Usually, Yi Hongwei didn't allow their family into the old residence, but hearing what Yi Wanwan said, he didn't deny them entry and simply nodded in response. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Cough, Master sorry. My foot's fault. Just now when he heard that Yi Wanwan wanted to bring his master back home to meet her parents, he got so unsettled that he accidentally stepped on the accelerator. Sui got into such a big fright that his soul flew out of him. He trembled as he picked up his master's phone that fell from his hands and handed it over. Then when he lifted his gaze, he saw an expression that had never appeared before on his master's face. It was like he had confronted a formidable enemy and met a thorny problem. But what's for sure was that it didn't have any signs of anger. A master couldn't be nervous because he'll be meeting his in-laws, could he? Sui quickly brushed away the nonsensical thoughts in his head. Cough master, should we wait for Miss Wanwan? Return to Jean Garden. Got it. The banquet came to an end as the guests left one after another. With forced smiles, Yi and Gu Yuze stood by the door to send the guests off. In her previous life, after these two announced their engagement, they received blessings from all the guests, but at this moment, all they got were the weird looks from the guests. Yi Wanwan walked out of the old residence and caught sight of a black car driving away slowly a short distance away. She couldn't help but feel terrified. That car. Why does it look so familiar? Wanwan, what's wrong? Liang Wanjun asked. Mommy, I'm fine. Yi Wanwan shook her head, then held her mother's hand and said, Daddy, Mommy, let's go home. I've already got someone to move your luggage into the villa. When Liang Wanjun heard that, she turned to Yi Wanwan worried. Wanwan, did you really get the house back? Yi Xiaoting also spoke solemnly. As far as I know, after that house was auctioned off, Chu Hongguang bought it. Yi Wanwan nodded. That's right. I got it back from Chu Hongguang's hands. Yi Xiaoting was surprised. What? That old fox, how did you? Yi Wanwan knew what her parents were worried about and gave them both an assuring look. Daddy, Mommy, you don't have to worry. I definitely got the house back through proper means. I'll tell you the details later. Liang Wanjun and Yi Xiaoting looked at their daughter's calm and composed manner and felt at ease as they nodded. Yi Mufan stood by the side. Strangely, he started to recall what Yi Wanwan said to him over the phone that day. I'll be the one taking care of and protecting Mom and Dad next time. I'll get revenge for the Yi family. At that time, he thought she was just indulging in fantasy and was too naive, or it was just a spur-of-the-moment thing. He didn't expect that in just a short few months, she accomplished her lofty goals to this extent. Liang Wanjun seemed to have thought of something as she hesitated before speaking. Wanwan, does your boyfriend know about our family's situation? Yi Wanwan nodded. And he does. And he doesn't mind. Liang Wanjun and Yi Xiaoting were naturally worried that their family status would affect their daughter's happiness. In order to make her parents feel reassured, Yi Wanwan pondered to herself for a moment, then replied firmly, Daddy, Mommy, don't worry. He's not someone from our circle, he's just a normal guy, ordinary working adult, very honest and considerate, and isn't too good-looking. Yi Wanwan felt that this lie might have used up an entire lifetime's worth of power. Yi Xiaoting was indeed reassured after hearing that and was very pleased. All right, normal is good. He doesn't need to be rich or noble. Even if he looks average, it's fine. As long as he treats you well, that's good enough. Liang Wanjun also expressed her satisfaction. Men turn bad easily when they're wealthy, and it's unsafe if they're too good-looking. Mommy's also worried that you wouldn't be able to manage a guy like that. So it's better this way. Yi Wanwan coffin. The family was about to leave when Liang Jiahao's voice came from behind. Jie. Liang Wanjun paused and looked at Liang Jiahao without any emotion in her eyes. The amount she doted on her little brother before was proportionate to how disappointed she was in him now. The disappointment accumulated all these years, and now there was no sadness left, only numbness. Jie, are you all really moving out? Liang Jiahao asked. Liang Wanjun glanced at her daughter and said resolutely, we've troubled you for a long time. Jie. Liang Jiahao sighed. I know that you and brother-in-law helped us a lot. I'm sorry, I'm really in a tough spot. About the company, will brother-in-law still be working? Yi Wanwan stood by the side and sneered. After so much talking, all he wants to know is whether Dad will be working at the company still? Liang Jiahao treated her dad as if he had the capabilities of many people and even used him like a slave. Obviously, he couldn't bear to part with such cost-effective labor. This uncle of hers had no management skills at all. With her father around to help him, he was naturally very relaxed. But this family pretended to be mistreated after being granted a favor. Before her father could reply, Yi Wanwan said, like cousin Shirhan said, how can us kids tire out our parents? With that said, they had nothing to do with Liang Jiahao's family anymore. It was fine if they took care of each other as relatives, but this family of ingrates was worse than a bunch of strangers. Behind him, Fang Xiumin got anxious when she heard that. How could you do that? The company has many projects only halfway done. It's too irresponsible of him to just leave like that. Yuanwan laughed. Oh, irresponsible? Then why doesn't my father become the boss and have complete responsibility? I suddenly remembered that my dad put in an investment to start this company before too, right? You're dreaming. Feng Xiumin's expression changed immediately. Unlike how Auntie dreams, Yuanwan said, chuckling. She then said in a reassuring tone, Auntie, don't be nervous. Whether it's the house or the company, we're not interested in them at all. After all, we don't have a habit of picking up bones we throw out. This tone of voice was obviously mocking them as a family that was worse than pigs and dogs. Yuanwan couldn't be bothered to continue bickering with this family, so she dragged her parents out and left. Feng Xiumin was so mad that she yelled furiously at Liang Jiahao. You're just standing there letting that stupid girl bully me like that. Not saying a single word to defend me? Seeing Liang Jiahao still kept his silence, Feng Xiumin gave him a shove. Say something. Yi Xiaoting's gone now, so who's going to manage all the things in the company? Liang Shihan stared at Yi Wanwan's retreating figure with jealousy. Mommy, let them leave. They're just a bunch of stray dogs. What's there to be mad about? Can't the company survive without him, huh? Feng Xiumin took a deep breath. Shihan's right, they're just a bunch of stray dogs. What's there to be mad about? In the future, your Auntie Mei Xian and Yi Jie will help us. Who wants this lousy house and lousy company? Liang Shihan nodded continuously. Right now, half of the showbiz belongs to Uncle's Yi Group, and Yi Jie's the director of talent recruitment at Emperor Sky while brother-in-law's the chairman of Emperor Sky. That family can't even find a job, yet they still dare to think about making a comeback. They're truly indulging in fantasies. Golden Seas. I have some business to attend to, so I'll get going first. They were already at the door, but Yi Mufan didn't enter. Mufan. Mufan. It's so late. Where are you heading to? Liang Wanjun watched helplessly as her son left. Yi Xiaoting's face darkened, and there was tiredness in his eyes. Forget it, don't bother with him. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Daddy, Mommy, don't worry, I'll try to persuade Gigi. Yuanwan said reassuringly as an iciness flashed across her eyes. With her older brother acting like that, if she wanted him to come to his senses, she had to do something drastic. She'd better come up with a good plan. Wanwan, you're a good girl. Seeing their daughter being so sensible, Liang Wanjun and Yi Xiaoting were relieved. The villa had a specialized housekeeper who got someone to maintain the upkeep of the villa every month, so although it had been a long time since somebody lived in it, it was still very clean and tidy. The expensive furnishings in the house had been auctioned off, but the other items were still there. Yi Wanwan looked at this utterly familiar place and was misty-eyed. I'm finally home. Actually, they only lived in this little house before because it was located in a rare district, built on a very valuable piece of land, and her mother liked the surrounding neighborhood, so they hadn't moved after so many years. The house wasn't big, and since it was built many years ago, it was somewhat old. When she earned enough money in the future, she'd get them a better place. Yi Wanwan was afraid her parents would worry, so she didn't dare tell them about the things she did with Chu Hongguang. She only mentioned that she helped a friend when he was at his lowest and lent him some cash, so the house was gifted to her by her friend in order to repay her. She mentioned that she was also helping that friend in his studio and interning there now. The family of three hadn't seen each other in a long time, so they chatted on and on. Other than asking about her, Liang Wanjun and Yi Xiaoting also asked many questions about that ordinary and honest boyfriend. Wanwan, that person you like. Is he this Yi boyfriend you're talking about? Liang Wanjun probed. Cough cough. No, not that friend, Mommy. I know you and Daddy are worried that I'll take the same disastrous road and get tricked again. But don't worry, basically, he's nothing like Guyu Zhe disregarding his morals for profits or tricking me for money and power. My boyfriend will do nothing of that sort to me. Yi Wanwan said all this without a change in her expression. Hee, that's Yi Han I'm talking about. He, himself, is the embodiment of money and power, so what amount of money and power can make him disregard his moral principles for profits? Wait till our relationship matures a little more, and I'll definitely bring him to meet the both of you. Wait till I think of a way to make the great devil look more ordinary. At night, Yuanwan chatted with her parents for a very long time, but since she had to work the next day, she eventually bid farewell to her parents reluctantly and returned to the hostel. The night air was as cool as water. A crescent moon hung overhead in the empty sky. The taxi was halfway to the hostel when Yuanwan suddenly told the driver to stop. After paying the fare, she walked over to a food stall in the downtown area. Tonight at Grandpa's banquet, she had almost nothing to eat. She also didn't feel the hunger when she was chatting with her parents just now, but at this moment, her tummy was crazily protesting for food. Inside the food stall, although the decorations weren't high class, it was simple and the smells of the food attacked her senses from all around. Unlike luxurious restaurants, these kinds of places were usually where good, authentic food could be found. Alright, maybe it's just because I'm feeling a little stingy tonight. Yuanwan picked a secluded corner and sat down. Miss, what would you like? The boss was a middle-aged man, and was startled when he got a closer look at the girl's appearance in the dark corner. He immediately put on a wide smile and brought the menu over. Let me see, give me 1 sweet and sour pork ribs, 1 roasted pork, 1 steamed Christian carp, 20 mutton skewers, 10 pork skewers, 10 crispy bones. Sui. That's right, my master would never disregard his morals for profits. He'll disregard his morals for love. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Yuanwan ordered quite a bit of food in one breath. She considered all this food a reward for herself. Furthermore, it wasn't very expensive to order so much at a place like this. The boss kept sizing Yuanwan up. Girls these days were usually on a diet, so he didn't expect to see someone act so unconventionally. Of course, as a boss, he really liked this kind of customer. Alright. Coming right up. The food stall was a little busy, so the boss didn't stay long and left immediately after taking Yuanwan's order. Yuanwan took out her phone, and initially wanted to send a text to see Yihan, but all of a sudden, a somewhat familiar voice came from behind her. Boss, get me 5 bowls of dumplings. Yuanwan looked to the side and saw a young man dressed in a tattered and old denim jacket walking briskly into the food stall. Nameless. Nya. Yuanwan was surprised. At that moment, Yuanwan instantly turned her head, afraid that Nameless Nya would recognize her. She even felt slightly guilty. After all, she actually bought a precious treasure from him for just $100. What if this guy saw her and regretted selling it to her? Very soon, Nameless Nya found a round table and sat down, rushing the boss incessantly. Hurry up, boss. Mince meat for my dumplings, and remember to wrap big ones. Oh right. How much does a bowl of dumplings cost? After some time, Nameless Nya seemed to remember he had to pay for them. $10, the boss who was cooking responded. Oh, the young man thought deeply for a moment, and the corners of his mouth moved slightly, as if he was making an important decision. I'll have 6 bowls. After some time, the boss presented 6 bowls of dumplings on his table. In just a few minutes, Nameless Nya managed to finish off all the dumplings. Bassa, I've ordered so many dumplings. Do you want to give me some roast pork ribs, roast fish, or something for free? Nameless Nya asked eagerly. Are you kidding me? The boss laughed. 6 bowls of dumplings cost $60. One of my roast meat already costs much more. Oh, Nameless Nya thought. That won't do then. You should give me another 2 bowls of dumplings. The boss gave Nameless Nya a sidelong glance. He probably couldn't be bothered to entertain him anymore. After Nameless Nya spoke, another person entered the stall. This guy had a stocky build, his body was covered in dust, he was wearing a green construction safety cap, and both his eyes were sky blue. You'd know with just one look that he was a foreigner. Captain, why didn't you tell me that you're eating shit? The foreigner wearing the construction cap said seriously as he sat down in front of Nameless Nya. Hearing that, Nameless Nya's face changed slightly. Boss, I'd like to eat shit. Give me some shit. The foreigner friend turned to the boss, speaking in his very out-of-practice Mandarin. Not far off, Yuan just started devouring her food, and after she heard the conversation, she spat out the rice in her mouth instantly. Are you insane? Coming to my stall to eat shit? Why don't you go to the toilet if you want to eat shit? The boss stared at the foreigner, completely speechless. No, boss. My friend's Mandarin isn't great. He said that he wants shit. Actually, he meant rice. Nameless Nya pulled the boss to one side, explaining softly. Boss, get me some shit. Not too expensive, but it has to taste great. The foreigner stroked his chin innocently. Sure. I'll get you some shit. The boss didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he turned and left. Yi Wanwan's sharp ears overheard the conversation between Nameless Nya and the boss, and she was speechless too. She reckoned that the foreigner had been fooled by Nameless Nya, who probably told him that the word shit meant rice. Such an annoying person actually exists? Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. After the boss left, Nameless Nya turned to the foreigner, looking pensive. How many bricks did you move today? The foreigner's firm muscles trembled slightly as he replied proudly. Not much, just 5,000 pieces. Hearing that, Nameless Nya immediately got excited. Which means you earned quite a bit today, huh? I didn't do too bad today, Captain. The foreigner giggled and patted his own pocket. Immediately, Nameless Nya gained some confidence and he said, Boss, get me another 10 bowls of dumplings, 1 plate of red braised pork, 1 plate of braised fish and braised pork ribs. Yuan, I thought I was a rice bucket myself, but this guy here is a dumpling bucket? While waiting, another 2 people walked into the stall. Captain, we're back-o. Although the first guy in front was dressed in menswear, his face was even more bewitching than a lady's. If one didn't look closely, he really looked like an extremely charming woman. The other man had long black hair, and was carrying a stretcher on his back. His entire body looked as if it was a beautiful 10,000-year-old glacier without a tinge of human emotion reflected in his eyes. Before Nameless Nya could open his mouth, the beautiful iceberg man already placed his stretcher on the ground, acting like there was nobody else present, and soon after that, he laid on it lazily. Get up. Seeing this, Nameless Nya pinched the space between his brows like he was having a headache. However, the beautiful iceberg man didn't move at all, and seemed quite comfortable laying there. How lazy are you? Why don't you just die from laziness? Nameless Nya said with resentment towards the man for refusing to listen. Stand up right now. Nameless Nya shouted coldly. Seeing that Nameless Nya was angry, the beautiful iceberg man slowly sat up grudgingly, moving from a sleeping position to a sitting position. Your father wants you to stand up, not sit there paralyzed. Nameless Nya yelled, almost at his breaking point. Hearing that, the beautiful iceberg man kept silent for a long time, but nevertheless listened to Nameless Nya. He held his stretcher and stood up. A Captain, so cool. You're so handsome even when you're mad. I haven't seen Captain for several days already and I really miss you. Oh. Did you miss me? The bewitching man next to the beautiful iceberg man nestled into Nameless Nya's embrace. Get lost, Nameless Nya said, irritated. Captain, you're so naughty. The boy sat upright obediently. He turned to the long-haired iceberg man and blinked. Hubby, you won't be jealous, right? However, the beautiful iceberg man only gave a sidelong glance at him, and didn't bother responding. Seeing that the beautiful iceberg man was silent, the bewitching man looked hurt. Hubby, say something. Your expression's been so cold the whole day, it really hurts my heart. Hubby, say something, I really want to hear that voice of yours, that voice which makes people's hormones spike off the charts. Watching this scene, Yuan, who was sitting at a nearby corner, was so stunned that the braised meat from her mouth dropped out. What the hell? What a complicated relationship. This bewitching man was flirting with Nameless Nya, yet he called another man his hubby? Hubby, just say one word, alright. The bewitching man persisted. Then, the beautiful iceberg man finally opened his mouth as the boy wished. Scram. The eyes of the bewitching man were filled with resentment as he immediately glared at the beautiful iceberg man. Divorce? I can't go on like this. Immeasurable deity. Suddenly, a young Taoist devotee appeared at the stall. This Taoist devotee was dressed in a white Taoist robe. He held a long streamer, and there was calmness in his eyes, giving off an immortal disposition that was free from vulgarity. Yi Wanwan was completely dumbfounded. This was too much for her eyes to take in. What was with the sudden appearance of a Taoist devotee? What kinds of people are these, huh? The Taoist devotee placed his long streamer down and looked at the bewitching man. Stupid gay guy, this poor Taoist has read your fortune. You will encounter a blood-filled disaster in the next few days. The bewitching man sneered. You really think you're a devotee, huh, stupid medium? When the devotee heard that, his charming face changed and a dark, evil smile surfaced. You're courting death? Oh, try me. The man shot a flirtatious glance over. The luster in his eyes was as sharp as the tip of a knife, morphing him into a completely different person from before. Hua hua, he destroyed an entire nation already. I think you'd better not try him. The foreigner reminded him with good intentions. Huh? Just him. The bewitching man who went by the name Hua Hua hugged his belly and roared out in laughter. He was about to say something when Nameless Nia rapped on the table with his fingers. Shut up, everyone, Nameless Nia said, annoyed. The moment Nameless Nia said that, the foreigner, bewitching man and the young Taoist devotee turned quiet instantly. Even the beautiful iceberg man looked at Nameless Nia seriously. Nameless Nia's eyes swept across all four of them before he cleared his throat and said coldly, Our team is called God of Death and Dusk. The four of them yelled at the same time. Our slogan is? Nameless Nia continued. Nothing's nicer than dumplings, nothing's more fun than sister-in-law. Captain eats dumplings, we play with sister-in-law. Captain, I don't want to play with sister-in-law. I want to play with you. The bewitching man suddenly moved closer to Nameless Nia. However, before the gay guy could approach him, he was frightened off by Nameless Nia's icy glare. Continue with the slogan. Nameless Nia dictated. Immediately, the four of them looked at each other and played a beat with their palms as they chanted. Captain of the God of Death, talented and suave, cool 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 cool, strong 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 strong. Everyone's very honest. I feel relieved as your captain. Nameless Nia nodded, satisfied. Outside the stall, the boss seemed dumbfounded as he sized up the 5 people inside. And in the corner, the roast meat that Yi Wanwan picked up with her chopsticks fell onto the table once again with a plop. Multi-level marketing organizations these days were becoming more and more exotic. How could they even manage to shout such a shameful slogan? They're all such tools. Not long after, the boss brought their dishes out and left. After that, the little devotee carried over a carton of beers. The few people looked at the feast in front of their eyes and raised their chopsticks eagerly. Presumptuous. Put down the chopsticks. The rule in our team is that whoever's the most handsome shall eat first. The bewitching man suddenly bellowed. Hearing that, the little devotee and brick-moving foreigner sighed before withdrawing their chopsticks they'd extended. Nameless Nia crossed his legs and picked up a piece of braised pork unhurriedly, then put the entire piece into his mouth and spoke incoherently. Dumplings are still the best. Seeing that their captain started eating, the others swiftly picked up their chopsticks. Half an hour later, there was only half a carton of beer left. Nameless Nia gave a languid look, and his gaze swept across his men. Any updates? Still don't have any definite news, the bewitching man said. Captain, we're still investigating and we'll need more time, the devotee said. The beautiful iceberg man shook his head, indicating that he didn't have any updates. What about you? Nameless Nia turned to the foreigner friend who moved bricks. The foreigner replied honestly after swallowing the roast meat. Captain, I've been moving bricks to make money the whole day. I didn't have time to investigate at all. A tinge of impatience appeared in Nameless Nia's brows. I'll give you guys another 3 months. You must find the person I'm looking for. Captain, don't worry, we'll definitely complete our mission. The other 4 people chorused. Yi Wanwan, who was still in the corner, clicked her tongue and thought in her heart. Who exactly is this group of people looking for? Could it be someone who owes them money? Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. After he had eaten and drunk to his heart's content, Nameless Nia stood up. Boss Bill. The boss immediately walked to them and said, "For 75. Hearing that, Nameless Nia nodded and looked at the four people. The four people also turned to look at Nameless Nia. "Where's the money? Pay up," Nameless Nia demanded. "Oh." The bewitching man pulled out a stack of notes from his pocket, mostly 50 cents and $1. After Nameless Nia counted carefully, it only totaled up to 20-something dollars. The devotee pulled out two brand new $10 notes unwillingly. "What about you?" Nameless Nia looked at the beautiful iceberg man. "Captain, have you forgotten my hubby and I are partners? My hubby pretends to be a dead man while I weep. This money is our shared income." Oh, the bewitching man cast a flirtatious look at him. Yi Wanwan, who had been observing this interaction. Selling his body to bury his husband? This money-making scheme is amazing. Fuck. Nameless Nia slammed the table and pointed at the three of them. "The three of you are useless garbage. You guys barely even made $50 today altogether. Business isn't good these days. Only one person came to see his fortune today, and he even called me a fake and didn't pay up. I just happened to pick up $20 on the ground while walking." The handsome and nefarious-looking devotee sighed. "Don't give me excuses." Nameless Nia waved his hand and interrupted him, then pointed to the brick-moving foreigner and said, "Look at little sweetie eyes in Joro. He moved 5,000 bricks in one day and made so much money. Look at the rest of you, acting like a corpse, acting like a psychic. You can't even earn $50. How embarrassing and shameless." Pfft, little sweetie eyes in Joro. Every time I hear this name, I get goosebumps. The handsome and nefarious-looking devotee discreetly turned to the brick-moving foreigner. "Captain, why are they all laughing at the name you gave me? What exactly does little sweetie eyes in Joro mean?" The brick-moving foreigner was unhappy. Cough cough. Nameless Nia turned to the brick-moving foreigner and spoke with much sincerity. "Little sweetie eyes in Joro means very bold, powerful and aggressive. They're laughing at you because they're not worthy enough to have this name." Hearing his explanation, the brick-moving foreigner nodded and said seriously, "Captain, I like this domineering name. Wait till I earn more money. I'll treat you to eat shit." Nameless Nia. "That's all right." "Little sweetie eyes in Joro?" Yi Wanwan's face was completely blank. "What kind of weird name is that? Are you guys done or not?" The boss standing by the side was getting impatient. "These lunatics don't have the money to pay up. Please take note of your tone and attitude while speaking to our captain." A cold glow flickered in the devotee's eyes. "Oh, coming here to dine and dash, yet you're still acting all high and mighty." A cleaver appeared in the boss' hand out of nowhere. "Boss, don't be rash." Nameless Nia waved and turned to the foreigner. "Little sweetie, take the money out." Hearing this, the foreigner nodded and took out a note from his pocket. "And take them all out." Nameless Nia laughed when he saw the $10 note in the foreigner's hand. "Captain, that's all, it's all here," the foreigner replied with extremely out-of-practice Mandarin. "That's all." Nameless Nia was stunned. "Didn't you say you moved 5,000 bricks?" "Yes, it's all here. The boss said that moving 5,000 bricks would only earn me this much," the brick-moving foreigner said. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. You moved bricks for an entire day and the boss only gave you $10? Nameless Nia tried to prevent blood from spewing out. Move more bricks next time. Move 100,000 of them. All right, Captain. The foreigner nodded continuously. Captain, have you earned any money today? The devotee asked curiously. Tieth earned any money? The corners of Nameless Nia's mouth moved upwards. He put his hand into his shirt and fished out a $100 bill proudly. Seeing the great $100 bill in Nameless Nia's hand, the four of them immediately lined up in a row and chanted, Captain of the God of Death, talented and suave, cool, 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 strong, 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 strong. Captain's amazing, I want to give the captain a lovely kiss. The bewitching man grabbed hold of Nameless Nia. He was brushed away with one tight slap. Yi Wanwan looked at the $100 in Nameless Nia's hand. That can't be the $100 I used to buy the gift, can it? You're so mean, Captain. Captain's so naughty. You're so handsome even when you're mad. I love you to death, Captain. The bewitching man looked at him with even more adoration. Little sweetie, kick him out, Nameless Nya ordered. All right, Captain. The foreigner wiped his hands and threw the bewitching man out of the stall like he was carrying a little chicken. But in half a minute, the bewitching man charged back in again and pointed at the brick-moving foreigner. Smelly brick mover, if you put your dirty claws on my smooth skin again, I'll break your damn off. Hubby, he bullied me, doesn't your heart ache at all? Am I still your beloved little sweetheart? The bewitching man grabbed a hold of the beautiful iceberg man's arm. At this moment, seeing this group of acting prodigies, the boss finally reached his limit. Pay up right now. All of you are insane, huh? Boss, give us a break. How about a discount? Nameless Nya asked. Staring at the loose change in Nameless Nya's hand, there was only a total of $160. The boss sneered. How about I break your bones? Boss, how about this? Nameless Nya brought out a bone sculpture out of nowhere and cleared his throat, speaking very seriously. This is the alligator I hunted down in an extremely northern icy region. I used a lost skill to craft his skull. Usually, I sell it for 100,000, but I shall let you have it for cheap today. How about using this to pay for the meal? Boss, you've made a gain. The bewitching man hurriedly chimed in. Boss, quickly take it. If you feel bad, just give our captain a few bowls of dumplings. The foreigner nodded. Right now, the boss' head was filled with black lines, never mind about dining and dashing. Now they're treating me like a fool. Fuck your grandmother. The boss raised his cleaver and looked as if he wanted to chop them up. In the corner, after Yi Wanwan watched half a day of drama, she couldn't sit there quietly any longer. She coughed lightly and walked over. Then she took out $300 and placed it next to Nameless Nya. I'm lending this to you. Get lost quickly, don't hurt my eyes anymore. Miss Famous Yi, what a coincidence. Nameless Nya was slightly taken aback. He tightly grabbed the $300 that Yi Wanwan placed on the table. At that moment, the man dressed as a devotee stared at Yi Wanwan, and his eyes glistened. Captain, where did you meet this little beauty? She's a customer at the booth. Her name's Famous Yi. We have an affinity, let alone this name of hers. Nameless Nya rubbed his chin. Yi Wanwan was speechless. I simply made up that name and he took it for real. Captain, you're a legend in this world, yet today, you had to rely on a girl to save you. The nefarious-looking devotee lamented bitterly. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Stop talking nonsense. Nameless Nya was slightly annoyed. Whoever earns the least this month will have to get lost to Africa to carry out a task for me. No. I just want to eat my life away and wait for death. The devotee shook his head vehemently, terrified. There were only a few days left until the end of the month, and he'd earn the least for sure. TSK, the most powerful Taoist devotee in the East with a kidney defect who could make one turn pale just by the mention of his name, now actually wants to eat his life away and wait for death. It's godly Taoist devotee. The devotee's face was rigid as he corrected Nameless Nya. Seems like kidney defect suits you better. The bewitching man ridiculed. Stupid pervert, I once destroyed an entire nation single-handedly. Are you sure you want to talk to me in this way? A cold light flashed in the nefarious-looking devotee's eyes. Io, that's right, you scared me. It was just a little aboriginal country and there were only a few of them. What fierce abilities you have. The bewitching man burst out in laughter. The breaths of the nefarious-looking devotee quickened as he sneered. No matter how many of them were there, it was still an independent country. Yi Wanwan swallowed her spit and stared at those people speechless. She even started getting goosebumps. I've met people who love to brag but not to this extent. What legend in this world? What most powerful Taoist devotee in the East? What destroyed an entire nation single-handedly? Why don't you guys ascend to heaven already, huh? Even an MLM organization wouldn't dare to brag like that, right? A mental institute would suit them better. After drinking a few bottles of beer, you guys brag till you don't even know your names anymore, huh? You can't even pay a few $100s, yet you're still bragging like this? The boss of the food stall seemed like he couldn't tolerate this anymore as he waved his cleaver and sneered. Boss, don't be rash. Nameless Nya handed the money over to the boss. After seeing the money, the boss' countenance turned considerably warmer. Hold on. I gave you $10 more. Nameless Nya hurriedly ran forward and snatched a $10 bill back from the boss' hand. Damn your mother, after so many years of operating this stall, I've met all kinds of people. But for people like you guys, I have to hand it to you. The boss gave a thumbs up to Nameless Nya and the others. After paying up, Nameless Nya turned to Yi Wanwan gratefully. Thank you so much for your help just now, Miss Famous Yi. Yi Wanwan rubbed her nose. Oh, it's nothing. Just consider it my way of saying thanks for that present. After all, I did make a gain from it. That though it's a little presumptuous of me, I'm really curious. Are you guys from an MLM organization? Yi Wanwan couldn't help asking. That bewitching man became furious when he heard her. What audacity! Who are you calling an MLM organization? We are. At that moment, the devotee squeezed him on the butt and walked to Yi Wanwan. Far from it, we're a regular team. Miss, are you interested in joining us? We're lacking a female on our team. Especially a wonderful and talented one like you. Yi Wanwan. No thank you, I don't know anything. I'm just a weak chicken who doesn't even have the strength to fight another chicken. I'm undeserving of being on this completely normal team. The devotee kept trying to persuade her. Beauty, you don't have to do anything. You can be the group's pet. We'll treat you so well. In order to express my sincerity, I can read your fortune for free. I see that there are red clouds around your face, rays of light emitting from your eyes. It's a lucky sign. You might have luck in your love life in the future. Yi Wanwan, my ass. He's definitely a king among all swindlers. What lucky sign? Having luck in my love life is a great calamity to me, alright? Yi Wanwan didn't even turn around and walked away instantly. Dazzling media. Luo Chen attracted everyone's attention the minute he stepped into the company. Those newcomers and interns who wouldn't even give one look to Luo Chen before were now all going up to him to greet him. Good morning, Luo Chen-ji. Morning, Senior Luo Chen. Congratulations, Senior. I saw the video posted on your Weibo. It's too cool. I think the role of Luo Chen this time will definitely be yours, Senior Luo Chen. Although it had already been a few days, Luo Chen was still not used to his current status, and was a little uncomfortable with everyone's compliments. He pursed his lips and briskly walked straight towards the office upstairs without paying his fans any attention. In the corner at the other side, Lin Hao stared in the direction of Luo Chen, and his eyes filled with gloominess. A few small-time artistes who were standing by Lin Hao's side clicked their tongues and gathered together, chatting softly. Truly, things of the world are hard to predict. Who would have guessed that the 3-year has-been Luo Chen would explode in popularity so fast? I really couldn't tell that the new manager had such skills. Not only did he have a unique taste in choosing his artiste, he's also very accurate in predicting the market. I wonder if he still wants any more newcomers. There was even a newcomer who wanted to work under Yi Bai. Lin Hao folded his arms and sneered. TSK, the cause of this incident was Lin Zhong's passing. Song Jin Lin only wanted to fulfill Lin Zhong's final wish of filming the sequel. What has that got to do with predicting the market? He's just a lucky bastard. One of the newcomers mumbled meekly. But the main selling point was that video. It's really very creative and immediately put Luo Chen out there. The newcomer was afraid of infuriating Lin Hao, so he didn't dare speak too loudly. In showbiz, having luck was also a strength. Lin Hao carried a look of disdain. You guys are so naive. Do you know how many people are fighting for this role? You think just him, a nobody, could really get the part simply because of a popular Weibo post? Considering what Lin Hao said, a few of them agreed that the competition for the casting of Terrifying Dragon 2 was intense. Even though Luo Chen had the most votes now, his competitors had great influence as well. There were even some who were willing to bring in their own investments, so it was really hard to say who would get the part. Yi Wanwan's office. Dong dong dong. There was a knock on the door. Please come in. Yi Wanwan just sent a text to Si Yi Han to ask him out for a candlelit dinner tonight when she heard knocking on her door. Yiji, sit. Yi Wanwan indicated for Luo Chen to take a seat, then raised her head and asked, "How's training coming along?" "It's all right," Luo Chen responded. At the same time, a tinge of confusion flashed in his eyes. Initially, he was questioning why his manager wanted him to learn martial arts, which he found completely useless. In order to attend training, he risked everything and quit his odd jobs, living every day in worry and self-doubt. But he finally understood there was a reason behind Yi Bai's actions. There were quite a number of acrobatic fight scenes in Terrifying Dragon, and even more in Terrifying Dragon 2. If he was skilled in martial arts, it'd be a great advantage for him. With Luo Chen's humble character, when he said his training was alright, it probably meant he had a mark of 90 or higher. Yi Wanwan nodded in satisfaction, then casually said, "Take your shirt off, let me see." The moment the words of the young man fell, Luo Chen's face instantly turned ghastly pale. He raised his head suddenly like he heard something horrific. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Yi Wanwan probably realized that what she just said seemed to create a misunderstanding, and the corners of her mouth twitched. "I'm just asking you to take your shirt off. You don't have to look like you lost your head, alright? Jia, watching you stripping is more risky. Even my little heart is trembling in fear." She knew that because of what happened before, Luo Chen had his guard up and probably didn't fully trust her yet. But if he continued to be like this, it'd be very hard for her to continue working with him. Between an artiste and a manager, the most important thing was trust. Luo Chen seemed to recall something as he bit his lip hard and his face turned paler. His gaze froze at the man seated in front of the desk. He noticed that although Yi Bai asked him to take off his shirt, his expression was pure and honest. There weren't any dirty intentions in his eyes, and his look was completely different from the longing and lustful way Zhou Wenbin looked at him. Yi Wanwan knew trust couldn't be established overnight. Furthermore, what happened to Luo Chen before caused a severe psychological blow. Seeing Luo Chen's pale face, she decided not to force him. "Forget it, you don't." Alas, just as she was ready to tell him not to bother, Luo Chen suddenly stood up. His fingers grabbed the corners of his shirt, then he turned over the hem and removed the old white t-shirt. Yi Wanwan was slightly startled. She hadn't expected that with the degree of repulsiveness and disgust Luo Chen had for men, he could actually manage to do this. After a moment of shock, Yi Wanwan sized Luo Chen's body up. You couldn't tell usually when he wore a shirt, but now that he took it off, Yi Wanwan saw that Luo Chen was so skinny that even his ribcage could be seen. His skin was also deathly pale, like it hadn't been exposed to the sun in ages. And this was the result of him undergoing training with a martial arts trainer for half a month. It was much worse than she imagined. Yi Wanwan pinched her brows as her head started to hurt. Although it was said that one looked 5 kilograms fatter on screen, it wasn't good to be too skinny either, and Luo Chen was definitely overly skinny. If he ever needs to take some revealing shots, his figure will be really hard to look at. She already read the script, and unlike the Luo Chen in Terrifying Dragon 1, who was innocent and naive, who could even be a little delicate and beautiful, the Luo Chen in Terrifying Dragon 2 underwent a great change in both his age and temperament. He couldn't continue to act like a youngster. Furthermore, there were quite a few scenes where he needed to show his body. He can't just go and find a body double, right? With director Song Jinlin's harsh standards, he would never allow it. Yi Wanwan jotted down something in her notebook, then said coldly, "This won't do. You're too thin. Gain more weight first, then work on building muscle. I'll make you a plan, so follow it accordingly. Also, I arranged your training schedule along with the nutritionist. I also applied for a dormitory for you for convenience's sake. We'll be living in the same building. Here's the key. You may move in tonight. I already sent the video I shot of you to the crew for Terrifying Dragon 2, and just received an email from the crew that you already passed the first interview. Go back and prepare. You'll audition next month. I live just above you, so you can come see me anytime if there's anything you need." Luo Chen listened blankly to Yi by talking all about his future arrangements in one breath, and accepted the key with the words Grand View Park engraved on it. He was in shock for a long time before he regained his senses. He clenched his fists and nodded in silence. N. Liked it. Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Managers had flexible working hours and didn't have to be in the office the entire day. After Yi Wanwan arranged Luo Chen's training schedule, set him up with a fitness trainer and nutritionist, and put up a crew recruitment ad, she took a taxi to C Corporation. The little secretary escorted her directly to the chairman's office. Probably sensing that this person who had a mysterious relationship with the chairman seemed to have something on his mind today, the little secretary tried probing. Mr. Yi, you seem troubled today. Yi Wanwan pinched her brows and didn't deny it. Yes, very troubled. The little secretary blinked. What's wrong? Did something happen? Could it be that the chairman threw a tantrum again? The little secretary only heard a resentful sigh from the stunning young man next to her. Your boss looks too charming. Little secretary, huh? Why does this oddly sound like someone who's troubled because his girlfriend's too beautiful? In the chairman's office, when Yi Wanwan entered, Si Han still had some business to deal with and was in the middle of a video call with someone on the computer. Yi Wanwan walked to the sofa and sat down. While waiting, she propped her chin on her hand and stared at the man sitting at the desk, speaking fluent German into his Bluetooth headset. Behind the man was a large window. The burning rays of sun in the horizon formed a distinct contrast with the man's frozen expression, creating an extremely beautiful picture. Not to mention the man's dark brows, black, deep and serene eyes, thin lips and immaculate features. He merely sat there, yet his face was icy without a trace of a human's warmth. Just one look gave her the sense that nothing compared to this lovely sight, even if she'd experienced a lot in life. Yi Wanwan retracted her gaze with much difficulty, nearly collapsing and burying her cheek in the palm of her hands. It's a sin. Breathtaking. He's way too breathtaking. How can I bring him home if he's this charming? If my parents see that he's so charming, won't they be worried sick? Truly, the evil we bring on ourselves is the hardest to bear. In the end, Yi Wanwan didn't choose a candlelit dinner at a high-end restaurant. Instead, she settled for a table at a bar. It was a place that was incompatible with Si Han's personality, but in such a noisy environment, Si Han's presence was like a quiet fictitious land of peace and happiness, refreshing the mind. Yi Wanwan cupped her chin in her hand and stared at the beauty sitting opposite, sighing and fretting. She noticed Si Han placing the wine glass in his hand down slowly. He lifted his head as his body leaned against the sofa, and his breathtaking gaze landed on her face. His thin lips moved lightly and said, "Are you done looking?" Cough, 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 cough. Yi Wanwan was stunned for a moment before she broke out in a coughing frenzy. Then she realized that her gaze wasn't the least bit shameless, so she said awkwardly, You're too good looking, that's why I was staring." Yi Wanwan finally stabilized her mental state and was prepared to talk business. "Baby, did you hear what I said last night at my grandpa's birthday banquet? The one where I told Gu Yuze about calling off the engagement." Si Han. N. Judging by Si Han's expression, he was probably in quite a good mood. Yi Wanwan's eyes lit up instantly and she tried asking, Can I make a little request for my good behavior?" Si Han took a sip of his wine and gave a sidelong glance at her. "What is it?" "Liked it. Take a second to support novels on Patreon." Yi Wanwan mulled over the issue for a long time before finally opening up. It's like this. Because of that scumbag Gu Yuze before, my relationship with my parents became estranged. This time, after returning to the Yi house, I already made things clear with my parents to make sure that they have peace of mind and believe that I've really thought things through carefully. I told them about us. With that said, Yi Wanwan paused and observed Si Han's expression while she continued. Plus, we've been living together for more than 2 years already, so would you like to come back with me, to meet my parents? Her worst fear was that someday, her parents would accidentally find out about her and Si Han. Considering Si Han's attitude toward her parents, or if her parents found out that she was forced into this relationship, she didn't dare to imagine the consequences. So she had to find a solution that satisfied both parties before things got worse. If Si Yihan was agreeable and willing to cooperate, that would be best. The moment Yi Wanwan said that, she inexplicably felt the surrounding noise completely filter out from her ears. All her attention was on his reaction. His fingers that were on the glass paused. The lighting in the bar was too dim. She couldn't really see Si Yihan's expression clearly. Time went by, second by second. You're not okay with it? Seeing no reaction from him, Yi Wanwan lowered her gaze, looking desolate. Si Yihan, am I just a toy to you? You lock me up when you're unhappy, you let me out to fly a few rounds when you're happy. I know you don't really like me having close relationships with others, even my parents. But, with this attitude of yours, my parents might think that I've been abducted by bad guys, or even worse, they might think that I've been imprisoned and kept as a mistress. Si Yihan's face darkened as he looked at her, airing more and more grievances like she was about to cry. They're my parents and also your future in-laws. Were you just fooling around with me and not planning to get married this whole time? After Si Yihan heard the word married, his icy expression changed slightly, then he finally said, okay. The moment Si Yihan said that, Yi Wanwan's head became like a sunflower finally seeing the sun. She looked up immediately and exclaimed, ah, really really? When you meet them, can you change your appearance to make yourself look uglier? Ah no. No, to look more able, virtuous and kind. Ah no, what I meant was to look safer. Si Yihan. Si Yihan's expression that just warmed up a little instantly became like whistling northern winds. His voice also froze as he spoke, enunciating each word carefully. Am I too shameful to bring home? Yi Wanwan shook her head anxiously like a rattle. How could that be? It's just that, ever since Guyuze, my parents were very worried that I would be cheated on again. They're afraid I wouldn't be able to control someone who's too handsome and rich. Afraid that he might forsake me or cheat on me, etc. Furthermore, I actually found someone who's extremely wealthy and could smash the vault of heaven. If I showed you to them like this, they'd probably be so worried that they couldn't sleep soundly. So while I have the ability to put their hearts at ease, I can't reveal your identity to them. So, I have to trouble you a little, La. Si Yihan seemed amused as he looked at her. He took things easy. How safe do you want? Yi Wanwan took out her phone and showed him an image. Something like this is fine. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Yi Wanwan spoke as she sent the photo directly to Si Yihan. In the photo was a comedian wearing a very outdated red checkered shirt from the 80s, straight green pants, and a pair of black thick-rimmed glasses. He also had very tan skin, a pair of buck teeth, and was bald. His appearance was extremely hard to explain with a few words. Yi Wanwan asked excitedly, what do you think? It's very safe, huh? It's more than safe. Nobody would want him even if you delivered him to a girl's doorstep. It's perfect. Furthermore, nobody will be able to recognize who he is. The expression Si Yihan had after looking at the photograph. Yi Wanwan's conscience was probably triggered as she felt that transforming the stunning Si Yihan into this person was quite a feat. So she compromised and said, "Cough, you can have some hair. If you find the red checkered top too garish, I can let you change it for a green one. I can also allow you to remove the glasses." No. Your eyes are too alluring. Can't do without the glasses. Seeing that Si Yihan's face was turning uglier, Yi Wanwan swallowed and said earnestly, "Baby, I really don't want this either, but this face of yours looks." Si Yihan's face was frosty. "Like I would cheat on you?" Yi Wanwan hurriedly said, "How could that be? Baby, I know how you feel about me. You didn't even mind when I looked so atrocious before. I'm just scared that my parents would be worried and say." Yi Wanwan's lips were almost torn apart from all her persuading, but negotiations still broke down. Grandview Park. After they returned to the apartment, Yi Wanwan was still unwilling to give up, and gave one final attempt. Sweetheart, think of it this way. If you're very ugly yet you have a beauty by your side, people will definitely think you're a tycoon. Wouldn't that feeling be amazing? Oh wait, this is wrong. You're a tycoon in the first place." Yi Wanwan was in despair. After accompanying Yi Wanwan to her doorstep, Si Han didn't have any intention to enter, so he turned and left immediately. Yi Wanwan panicked and blocked Si Han's path abruptly, pushing him into her apartment. Why are you being so unreasonable? I dressed up horrendously for you so many times, but you can't even do it for me once? Si Han was pushed to the edge of the sofa. His eyes narrowed and he was about to make a move, but in the next second, he was suddenly blocked by Yi Wanwan, resulting in her acting like an evil tyrant pushing a young lady around. What if I said no? Si Han asked faintly, his terrifying eyes tinted with frost. Yi Wanwan spent a second being charmed by this pair of beautiful eyes, but was even more determined to not allow him to meet her parents with his real face. Thus she pushed him directly onto the sofa and pressed against his body with one knee. Today you have to yield no matter what. Even if you don't want to yield, you still have to yield. The moment Yi Wanwan said that, there was a clang. Following that was a pop. Two peculiar sounds came from behind her in succession. A bad premonition suddenly appeared in Yi Wanwan's mind as her back stiffened, and she turned around. Then she saw Han Xianyu, who was in his pajamas and slippers, standing at the entrance. He was flabbergasted with a fallen box of canned beers by his side. The thing that made Yi Wanwan give up all hope was that the frail teenager next to Han Xianyu was actually Luo Chen. The poor child was completely dumbfounded. His script was scattered all over the floor. Fuck. What just happened? Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. What's the situation here? After Yi Wanwan saw the two people at the door, she looked like she'd been struck by lightning 5 times. Han Xianyu's dashing face was mixed like a myriad of colors on a palette, while Luo Chen's pale little face was like a little white flower that had just been blown away by harsh winds. The 3 pairs of eyes met each other as they gazed at one another in dismay. There was a dead silence in the air. You guys, listen to me. This is definitely a misunderstanding. When Han Xianyu heard that, he stared at her leg. Yi Wanwan looked down and quickly put down the knee that was atop Si Han. Anyway, things aren't what you think. Han Xianyu then stared at her hand. Yi Wanwan quickly released the hand that was grabbing onto Si Han's collar, like she touched a hot potato. That, Luo Chen, your senior Xianyu can be my witness. Yi Wanwan hinted at Han Xianyu to quickly help her convince him, considering how frightened that kid was. Han Xianyu stared at the man who had been the victim with his shirt a mess. He rubbed his nose and said, I myself am quite startled too. Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan was so mad that she glared at a certain someone on the sofa. From Si Han's angle, he had definitely seen the people at the entrance, yet he didn't give her the heads up. She had just finally managed to earn a little trust from Luo Chen, but now, everything was back to square one. Si Han sat up leisurely and straightened his lapel and tie. As the victim who had just been pounced upon by a guy, he was the calmest one in the room. Things with Han Xianyu were still fine. It was no big deal even if he thought she, as Yi Bai, liked men, but Luo Chen was different. If Luo Chen thought she was gay, he'd no longer look at her straight anymore. Thus, Yi Wanwan poured all her attention on Luo Chen as she bent down and picked up the script scattered all over the floor before passing it to him. The moment she extended her arm, little sheep Luo cowered a little. Yi Wanwan shed tears in her heart. She forced herself to explain in a calm and collected manner. Luo Chen, let me introduce my friend to you, his surname's Si. Just now, I was messing around with him because I had something I needed his help with and he wouldn't help me. Cough, it didn't scare you, did it? Luo Chen remained in a daze and stood there, his expression distracted and lifeless. Alright, she already knew his answer. There was no other way. All Yi Wanwan could do was casually change the topic. Were the two of you looking for me? Han Xianyu coughed lightly. I met him on the way out and realized he was looking for you, so I brought him here. At that moment, Luo Chen stammered. Yiji, I nothing much. I just wanted to talk to you about the script. Since you have a guest here. Then another day, perhaps? Luo Chen finished speaking, so he eagerly turned around and ran away. When he ran out, he accidentally bumped headfirst into the door with a loud bang. Yi Wanwan looked at the shaking door and covered her face in silence. Oh God! Why must I be training a little sheep? Everything's been ruined just like that. Now I have to redo. Han Xianyu coughed lightly and secretly peeped at the indifferent man adjusting his lapel, then turned to Yi Wanwan and said in a low voice, "Cough, you went too far this time." Even I was so startled that I almost misunderstood. Not to mention that little kid. Yi Wanwan's face darkened. Don't mention it. I just wanted to ask if there was any way I could fix this? Han Xianyu rubbed his nose. I think it's really hard. Unless... Unless what? Yi Wanwan immediately asked. Han Xianyu spoke in a joking manner and waved his hand. Unless you're a girl, Yi Wanwan. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. But what was undeniable was that no matter in this life or the past, no matter how terrifying this man looked on the surface, he never hurt her or the people around her from beginning to end. Furthermore, after she was reborn, she discovered more and more sides to Yi Han that she hadn't seen before. She just wanted to have freedom and wanted to preserve her life. But why was it that every time she thought about his deteriorating health, thought of his illness, thought about how in a few years' time, Yi Han might be terminally ill, her heart felt as if a huge sharp claw was tearing it apart? Actually, Yi Han knew very well himself. He knew very well that she'd been deliberately putting on an act. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. That's right, given how shrewd he was, how could he not see right through her thoughts? At first, she thought Yi Han was just treating her like a pet he cared a lot for. She assumed he didn't really mind whether she was loyal to him, and only needed her to be well-behaved and obedient. And this man didn't know how to express himself, so she never thought too much about it. However, when Yi Han looked at her and said, "You think I really mind being ugly?" she felt an inexplicable feeling of sadness and disappointment towards this man. An unmeasurable amount of time went by and Yi Wanwan was still lost in thought when his low and hoarse voice rang out. "I'll go." After Yi Han said that, he stood up and walked towards the door. Then, just as he was about to push the door open and leave, something tightened around his wrist. Yi Wanwan had subconsciously followed behind him, and she pulled at the edge of his shirt. "Thank you." Yi Han didn't say a word and remained expressionless. The second Yi Han was about to take another step to leave, Yi Wanwan suddenly said, "Why don't you stay the night?" Yi Han's eyes flickered for a moment, then he lowered his gaze and looked at her. Yi Wanwan saw he didn't move, so she pulled his hand and led him back inside. "Your dark eye circles look darker again. When it's convenient for you, try to come over and stay over more. Whenever I have no work to attend to, I'll head back to Jean Garden to see you." Sensing that Yi Han was staring at her, Yi Wanwan said, "What's the matter? Don't you sleep better when you're with me?" Worried that he would find her change in behavior too drastic, Yi Wanwan added, "Cough, treat it like I'm returning a favor. Thank you." She knew that to a controlling person like him, the compromise he made just now wasn't easy. Yi Wanwan sounded very calm, but she knew how she felt deep in her heart. Although Yi Han's extreme paranoia and possessiveness towards her in her previous life caused her to suffer so much that she didn't want to live, he never lied or betrayed her. It was also because of him that she finally saw the true colors of Shen Mengqi and Gu Yuze. She knew that she could never accept a relationship like this of such unequal status. It was like a dangerous wall that could crumble any time. She could never accept Yi Han's unreasonable possessiveness and his unpredictable moods. But she also couldn't deny that after changing the way she interacted with him in this life, she was able to see him in a different light and was moved by him. She claimed she wasn't sure how she felt towards Yi Han, but she was sure that at the very least, she didn't want him to die. Forget it, since she couldn't figure it out, she would just go with the flow then. Even if she gained freedom, she didn't want it to be through his death. The night was extremely quiet. The two of them laid in bed in silence. Yi Han was exceptionally still when he slept. There wasn't a single movement from him at all, so Yi Wanwan wasn't sure whether he had fallen asleep or not. Yi Wanwan felt uneasy and couldn't fall asleep, so she turned her head and asked gently, "Oh right, I almost forgot to ask you something. Do you know Mei Jingzhou?" Si Yihan's usual cold voice came from her side. "No, I don't." Yi Wanwan blinked. Weren't you the one who asked him to attend Grandpa's birthday banquet? Si Yihan's tone didn't change. No. Yi Wanwan. If she hadn't secretly asked Sui about it before, she would have almost believed he wasn't responsible. Liked it. Take a second to support novels on Patreon. The next morning, after Si Yihan left, Yi Wanwan gave Sui a call. "Hello, Miss Wanwan." Sui felt a little weird when Yi Wanwan called him so early in the morning. "How's your master's health lately?" Yi Wanwan got right to the point. Sui didn't understand Yi Wanwan's intention of asking this question, and he felt hesitant to answer it. "Is it really bad?" Yi Wanwan frowned. Sui carefully considered how he phrased his words. "It's not optimistic indeed. Ninth Master hurt himself when he was young, and he hasn't recovered from his old illness all this time. Plus, his serious insomnia only worsens his condition. Before, the miracle doctor's son saw Ninth Master, and even said with certainty." "Said what with certainty?" "That if Ninth Master continued like this, his body would gradually be unable to handle it." Sui finally decided to answer truthfully. Yi Wanwan should have known all this after being by Si Yihan's side for 2 years, but she probably couldn't wait for Ninth Master to die, much less care about him. Yi Wanwan became silent instantly. As expected, his condition was identical to what it was like in her previous life. On the surface, Si Yihan didn't seem to have any problems. He never displayed his emotions, much less his pains. But the truth was that he had an entire body of illnesses. The year that she and Si Yihan got a divorce, he was so weak that he couldn't even put on an act anymore. When he went outside, he was usually confined to a wheelchair, and the number of times she got to see him became rare. What if he recuperates properly? Yi Wanwan asked. Sui pondered for a moment. I can't be sure. Ninth Master has a heavy workload. He needs to work for the family, the company, and maintain his power in other places. They all need him. In addition, with his sleeping disorder, it's almost impossible for him to recuperate properly. All right, I got it. Yi Wanwan hung up. She leaned against the wicker chair on the balcony and stared out the window in a daze, spiraling into a chaotic memory from the past. There were some things she had been preventing herself from probing or thinking about, but she still couldn't run away from them. If she didn't remember wrong, in just a few days' time, Si Yihan would lead a group of elites from the company along with the most advanced research and development equipment to Country B to negotiate with an important partner. Halfway through the journey towards Country B, Si Yihan would encounter a serious robbery. Not only would he suffer a disastrous loss of staff, but even his equipment would be robbed. Si Yihan would also be severely injured. She remembered that Si Yihan nearly lost his life during that robbery. It caused him to become bedridden for many months, and his already terrible body weakened further. The severe injuries sustained from that time were undoubtedly Si Yihan's amulet for a hastened death. Yi Wanwan wasn't sure whether this incident would happen again in this life. If it happened, no matter how he tried to recuperate, his body probably couldn't recover. Yi Wanwan shook her head and banished those nonsensical thoughts from her head. Maybe things will be different in this life? Furthermore, she hadn't heard about Si Yihan planning to go be country anytime soon. The next issue she had to worry about was Luo Chun. Yi Wanwan sighed again, then she took out her phone and called Luo Chun. In the end, nobody answered. After she called the second time, still nobody answered, but Luo Chun sent a text to her telling her that he was in training and couldn't take her call at the moment. Seems like he really was scared. Forget it, I'll just let him calm down first. If he was triggered by this little thing, everything she'd done up till now had all gone to waste. Yi Wanwan studied the script by herself the entire day, and before she knew it, it was already night time. Her phone rang. It was a text from Si Yihan telling her that something came up at the company, and she didn't have to wait for him for dinner. Yi Wanwan stared at the text and frowned. Working late again? Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.